Sabres game night tonight. They are in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. Pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. Still no Josh Norris or Jordan Greenway at morning skate today. And James Reimer, he is expected to get another start in net. And tonight, if the Sabres do win, it'll give head coach Lindy Ruff 900 wins for his career. 9 other games in the NHL tonight. Some notables. Florida hosts Detroit at 7. 7:30 sees Carolina in D.C. to take on the Capitals. 2 games at 9. Colorado hosts Vancouver, and Nashville is in Utah. Then at 10, also 2 games. Kings have the Ducks in town, and Vegas hosts Seattle. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the NFL Draft. Howard Simon and Joe Marino continuing their draft profiles up at our website, WGR550.com. And D-tackles are up. Ohio State's Tyler Williams and Texas's Alfred Collins, among others, are already up. Weather has not been kind in the early parts of the season for the Bisons. Today's game has been postponed due to rain. It is going to be made up on Saturday in a single admission doubleheader. Toronto is in action today. They are looking for the 4-game sweep of the Red Sox. That game's going to get going in just about an hour at 4. And then the Masters. It got underway today from Augusta, Georgia. Justin Rose sits alone in the lead, 5 under par as he heads towards his back 9. We'll get more on round 1 when Brian Koziel joins the show at 5:30. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Bulldog.
You know, I gotta wonder what kind of working relationship you'd have with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp.
I've often wondered that. Like, he, they, I don't know what his pronouns are, or their pronoun. Anyway, Satan.
And the Bulldog.
What's the upside of doing well?
Well, maybe they're too busy making everyone else's life hell.
Oh, boy.
And
wow.
you might just be able to do your own thing if you're partnered with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
They're too busy, making Scott Norwood miss field goals.
Oh, come on.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's so pretty when it snows, isn't it? Yeah, you start looking forward to the holiday season, and all that's to come. The football playoffs are on the way. There's snow on. It looks like a little snow globe. It's so nice. Don't you love it? It's the best.
Seasons continue to be vastly overrated.
I love when it snows. It's so pretty. It's fall. I wish it would stick to the ground. Then I would really know that it's winter. What is this, like 9th winter? Where are we on the timeline? I should bitch and moan. I mean, I'm 85 and sunny for 10 days in Puerto Rico. This is only my 2nd week back. But I got to admit, I did not. It was awful, and it was snowing, and there was snow sticking to the ground, I believe, while I was gone. I was not, villain laughing or anything while I was away. But I did think we timed this just right. We're going to miss. We're missing. 85 and sunny, poolside, surf's up, beware riptides. We timed this perfectly. We're going to miss winter's last gasp. Come on, man.
They really botched that one.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. You again, you don't want to hear a guy that spent 10 days on the beach complaining about the snow now, because you guys, many of you, some of you anyway, were stuck here the entire time. And, I know, right? Here, I'm going to guess already. There's like, well, last year it snowed, but I know. It's April in Buffalo. I know, all right? I did check just for my own sanity, because I know, and I've mentioned this before, that last year it was nice enough for me to play golf at the park, at Delaware Park, on March 5th. Because I post my scores, and so I have that recorded. And so I knew that, and, when you're in the midst of a day like today where, you get up at 8 a.m. and you open the back door to let your dog out and you get blasted in the face with snow pellets or grapple or freezing rain or it was maybe slush was falling from the sky. I don't know, whatever it was. You're like, man, I'm way behind on my rounds of golf. I played so much by this time last year. Nope. I played on March 5th, and then that was it until like this coming weekend, I think. So, I mean, that's still out, so we're going to be a little behind, but I've played twice at Delaware Park. I played in Puerto Rico, just, pretty nice. I donated a lot of golf balls. And I did this year. I got this was a little egotistical, I admit, but I got some Encore balls with a little Bulldog, like a cartoon Bulldog logo on them. I've gotten to be friends with Brett Blakely, who's one of the founders of that company. And a few years ago, when I first started playing again, Brett sent me 24 Encore balls with that logo on it. Yeah, cool. And of course, I played a golf season and they were all gone eventually, even though it's not really easy to lose balls at Delaware Park. Anyway, I lost them, and that's how it goes. So I've been playing other balls since then, but this year I decided, local company, I'm friends with this guy, and I want to do. So I packed a dozen balls to take with me on this trip to Puerto Rico, because when Owen and I played a couple of years ago, we were lucky enough to be on a vacation in Costa Rica. And how does this sound? Does it sound like I have a private jet? Whatever. Anyway, we had this. Try not to be self-conscious. Just spit it out. We had this vacation in Costa Rica, and we decided, okay, let's rent clubs. We'll find a place and we'll go play. And we did that. And they provided us with a dozen balls between us. Like when you rent clubs, you get 6 balls per player. At least that was the case at this resort we went to in Costa Rica. And we were in so tough playing at this relatively challenging course in Costa Rica that by the time we got to the 18th tee box, I'm not even kidding you, we had 1 golf ball left between us. We did not have enough golf balls for us to both play the 18th hole, which was pretty sad. I got to tell you, that was you pay a pretty big premium to play golf at a resort in an exotic place like that, and we're standing in the 18th tee, and Owen is out of golf balls. Like, oh man, this is tough. So I felt crappy, but I don't remember if we flipped a coin, but I think he had lost all his and I had 1 left, so I teed off and he's dejected, and I hit my ball into a sand trap up on the fairway, to the right of the fairway, and we get up there and there are 3 balls lying in the sand trap abandoned. I'm like, well, at least you get to play the approach. We're not going back to the tee box. There's people behind us, but at least you get to finish up here. So fast forward a couple of years, we're going to Puerto Rico. I make arrangements to play at a place you can play it if you do the simulators. I'm going to Dojo on Saturday. Owen and I went last Saturday to the Dojo and played the Bahia Beach Resort, which is, that goes alphabetically. It's one of the first courses listed. I don't know what the difficulty rating on it is, but playing it in real life, there got to be a point around now, and I brought an extra dozen. I brought balls from home because I didn't want to. I was imagining that a dozen golf balls at a golf resort like that would probably cost 1.5 times what they cost if you buy them at the the sporting goods store. So I'm going to bring a dozen of my Bulldog logoed, you egomaniac, my Bulldog logoed Encore golf balls, and so we had each a dozen balls, and we did not run out. But we did get to a point probably around the 14th hole or so. And mind you, this course, if you play it on one of it's on the TrackMan simulators. If you choose to play it, the last 3 holes are like the most scenic. They're right on the ocean side. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's the part of the whole course was amazing. The beautiful views all around, but as far as being on the ocean, it's the last 3 holes. And around hole 14, like, it's getting tight here. We started sort of scavenging for balls in driving on the car path, like looking to our right and to our left, thinking like, anybody abandoned the ball, like couldn't find a ball and left it. And we found a couple, but we ended up not running completely out, which was good because we had a dozen each. Okay, which would have been really bad. Don't ask me what my score was. We stopped counting. It was ridiculous. I lost. I brought one of those balls home with me, and one of the ones from the club. So yeah, that's 10 lost golf balls. That'll hurt your score. I've learned over the years. So we decided we were going to try to play this place again on the simulator at Golf Dojo on Saturday. I'm not kidding you. We got 4 holes in, and we'd each hit, I don't even know, like 5 fake balls into the water. We're like, all right, let's just find a desert. Can we just, please? This has got to stop. We cannot keep doing this. This is ridiculous. I'm having nightmares about we enjoyed being out there, but we both, it was a challenging day at the real course. We decided to pull the plug and ended up playing some mountain place with like lava remains or something. And that you hit your ball into the lava, it just rattles around and they let you play it out of there on the simulator. Like, oh, really? Like, I think I would die walking down there, but fine. I'm going to hit my ball out of the lava, I guess. Like the you know. Whew. Anyway. Hi. How's everybody doing?
You feel? I feel like you had to get that out.
Yeah, I did. Did. It was all one thing, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm glad everyone has the same experience at simulators.
I hope somebody's going to find, because not all of these Bulldog logo Encore balls ended up in the water. Some of them went in the jungle. A place where you could search for balls, We just didn't happen to find ours. But somebody's going to find those balls. Man, my dream would be somebody that is hearing me right now or knows of me or the station or the shows plays golf there sometime, I don't know, a year from now, is digging around in some underbrush off of the 10th fairway and digs out an Encore Vero X2 with a Bulldog logo on it. They're like, I think this is Bulldog's ball. Please, if that happens, let me know. It's all big long shot. I know, bigger long shot than Tage Thompson getting a hat trick against the Bruins on Sunday night. But hey, look, that happened. So who knows? Anyway, but everybody's doing good today. I'm shaking off the weather thing. I mean, because I know the point was it feels like this is awful, but it's also not uncommon. So I'm mostly kidding, but I really do wish we could play golf outside because, the Masters is on. And I wish we could at least just go to the outdoor driving range. That would be refreshing. But we'll do the dojo thing has really grown on me, so we'll do that again on Saturday in place of being able to play at Delaware Park. Anyway, hi. Mike is out again today. Zach is here. I'm Bulldog. Nice to have you with us. We'll gonna jump around some today. Definitely want to get into some NFL conversation. I tweeted about the draft, and I've also tweeted about TJ Watt. We'll get into that here in a moment. Sal's going to join me at 4 for conversation around that as well. And at 5:30, Brian Koziel will join me to talk about what has happened so far during round 1 of the Masters. Justin Rose on top of the leaderboard, 6 under par through 10. Okay. Scheffler looking strong. Some Hatton, DeChambeau, a lot of guys are right around even or 1 under, 2 big names. So it's been a fun day so far. Morikawa kind of fell apart. He was tied for the lead.
He had an eagle early. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think that tied him for the lead when I left home, and he's back to only 1 under, but still obviously in contention. So a lot of big names on the leaderboard. We'll talk to Brian about all that. I had thought to lead off with the draft and specifically what you guys want to see happen, dream scenario, nightmare scenario, you got a guy, that kind of conversation, just general because we're 2 weeks out now, 2 weeks to the day out from round one of the draft. So I definitely want to spend some time on that today. And if you've got thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them at 803-0550. What I neglected when I initially tweeted a couple hours ago about the draft was that there was news about a premier edge rusher last night. I say news, that should really be in finger quotes, news, using the word news to describe TJ Watt's Instagram post. I know. This is the life I chose. You don't have to participate if you don't want. I don't want you to change the channel, but if you think this is nonsense, yeah, fine. I respect you for thinking that. TJ Watt posted on Instagram last night just him in his Steelers uniform, peace sign. No caption, no nothing, just that, which could be, it's being interpreted as being somewhat cryptic, if not just flat out cryptic. Cryptic, all the cryptic you need. Not somewhat, absolutely cryptic. Peace out, right? He's going into the last year of a contract. Myles Garrett has just shattered the ceiling for edge rushers and non-quarterbacks with his $40 million contract extension to stay with the Browns. So now we're, are we about to start TJ Watt watch? Is that about to happen? He certainly is in line for a raise from the Steelers and a new contract going into his last year. And he's 30. He's not had the cleanest ride injury-wise, but I don't think he's as injury-riddled as you might think. He missed a playoff game against the Bills, but he has only played fewer than 15 games once in his career. In 2022, he missed 7 games. Other than that, his career is 15, 16, 16, 15, 15, 10, 17, 17 the last 2 years. Now, in 2023, that's the year that they make the playoffs, and he misses the playoff game with a knee injury. So that sticks to him too, but it's not like it's not Joey Bosa. This is not a guy that's been in and out of the lineup constantly with nagging things. He's had a couple of things, and sure, he missed a playoff game, and that hurts, but he's been one of the very best defensive players in the league. I guess I'll stop short of saying since he set foot in the league, but he had 13 sacks his second year, and he's never had fewer than that. Well, excuse me, he had 11.5 last year, so that's fewer. And then the injury year obviously dropped way down, but 22.5 sacks in 2021. 30 years old, looking for a new contract. Hey, remember this? We dust off the Myles Garrett conversation? TJ Watt is a tier below, but barely, I think. He, along with Garrett, year in, year out, is a contender for Defensive Player of the Year. Has been, and has won it. So this is a guy that I think is. Wait, has he won it? I gotta check and make sure he won that. Let me just. Yes, he did. He's won it one time. This is one of the very best defensive players in the league. It's really it's the Myles Garrett conversation, except we're only 2 weeks out from the draft now. What do Bills fans think about TJ Watt? If he were available, and look, some of you, I'll even admit, I have some Myles Garrett fatigue. I can't even spit out the question without the disclaimer here, because we spent a lot of time talking, a lot of opinions taken from callers about Myles Garrett and paying a huge asking price and then the big contract, and it turned out Myles Garrett didn't go anywhere. He stayed put in Cleveland, and is that not the most likely outcome with TJ Watt as I'm starting this show? Sorry, I don't want to kick my own legs out from under me here in this conversation, but it's probably the most likely outcome is that he's unhappy with not getting a new contract yet. Maybe he's unhappy with the state of negotiations. I don't know. Things could escalate to the point where the Steelers start thinking about shopping him. Frankly, if I were them and where I am on my timeline, I would absolutely trade TJ Watt right now if I were the Steelers. I'm at 0 at quarterback. I don't know where. And they've been living this life here where they squeeze into the playoffs, but they have nothing on offense, nothing at quarterback, and they get knocked out. And, like, that's their existence. And, fine, you're a playoff team. You always have a chance, I guess, because you're getting to the playoffs, but they get knocked out, and it's not even really hard. You start thinking about the playoff pool and the seedings, and you start, to me, I think many Bills fans are like, give me the Steelers. I know that's how it sounds in here when we're talking. Give me the Steelers. I'm fine. I'll take care of that, no problem. In a wild card round. If I got to deal with a wild card round, fine, give me the Steelers. It's an easy out, right? So they should be looking to trade a veteran player like TJ Watt, who I think should be able to net them at least, I think, a first-round pick, even at his age. I don't think it's a Garrett conversation where you're talking about 2 premium assets and something else, or even 3 premium assets. I think a premium asset is enough for Watt. I think, sitting here today. And if I were the Steelers, I would do that. So if he's unhappy, if that spirals, you want to get in on that? You want Brandon Beane, on the horn here with Pittsburgh? Hey, what's going on with the Steelers? What's going on with TJ Watt? What are you thinking about doing? If you're going to do something, keep me in mind. What price would you be willing to pay? Funny, I'm a little conflicted. I think my feeling is yes. That, to me, 30-year-old TJ Watt would be worth pick number 30 to me. I think I would do that. But the conflict for me comes in the form of, well, I already alluded to it. It's a little bit of the fatigue from the Garrett thing. You talk and talk and talk, like, man, that'd be great. It'd be so awesome. Imagine him on this team. Wow. And then, you're driving around one Sunday morning running errands, and the guy on the national CBS radio sports show on the station you work at tells you that Myles Garrett has agreed to a 4-year contract extension with the Cleveland Browns. You're like, oh, I guess, okay, so that's over. And so with that, I have sort of moved away from the idea of turning pick 30 into a veteran player that could impact you unquestionably right away, right? I'm sort of, and I wouldn't exactly say I've gotten possessive with the pick, right? But, we've talked to Chris Trapasso 4 times since Garrett signed his contract, right? So we're talking about these players and these corners and these edge players and these D tackles and even receivers and, I don't know, maybe even running backs, I don't know, safeties, Nick Emenworry. And you kind of get lost in it, and you get tempted to, well, I want to use the pick. I don't want to spend it now on a 30-year-old player. I'm ready to draft. But I think you got to kind of remove the fatigue of having been through the Garrett thing and having it be, swept away just like that, and consider where you are on your timeline, what your team could really use or needs, and, man, an elite level defensive player of the year caliber pass rusher for pick 30. I mean, I got to go. I got to do it. So that's where I am on that. Would love to hear from as many of you as are inclined to call at 803-0550 to talk about that. And, we'll get into the draft, of course, as well as this conversation, of course, includes conversation about draft picks and compensation. So we'll end up talking about the players in the draft, too. But TJ Watt, yay or nay? Mark is first up here on WGR. Hi, Mark. Thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Hey, guys. I'm a little late to the show. I just hopped on a few minutes ago. But I heard the TJ Watt thing and whether he might be moving on from Pittsburgh. And it brought me back to when he signed his most recent contract with them a few years ago. And it was about negotiating the price. And then he basically told his agent, he goes, sign the damn contract. And he walked in, signed the contract, and he said, now I'm going to go back in the gym and work out. And that was like the official release from the team. And it couldn't have been any more like PR scripted at all, and it was ridiculous. And now they're like, oh, he might, his future's in doubt now.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm only guessing that his future's in doubt because he posted himself walking off the field in a Steelers uniform giving the peace sign. There's been the Steelers aren't talking, he's not talking, but it seems like one of these cryptic social media posts. And, in the year 2025, 60-year-old dudes like me who talk sports on the radio have to pay attention to cryptic Instagram posts. So, that's all that's going on. It might be nothing. I don't know. It might even be a joke for all we know. But
that's the thing. This would all sound ridiculous if one, it's not April 1st. Two, it's not like anything cryptic has led to something before. It definitely has. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you think about making a move for him?
I don't know what the asking price would be, but I do like him as a player. Like he's part of he's one of the Watt brothers, and he was defensive player of the league a few years ago, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2021, he was Defensive Player of the Year, 22 and a half sacks. So, it's 4 years removed, but still, yeah.
Still, yeah, but it's not. Watt, his older brother JJ kind of went downhill kind of fast toward the end of his career, and so I hope he doesn't have that same decline. Judging it against the risk that he might have a big decline.
Would you give up pick 30 for him?
No.
Okay. All right, Mark, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. That's really, to me, I don't know that that's what it will cost, but that's because sure, if you could steal him, fine, absolutely steal him. I would expect that it would cost you that. Again, I don't have to be right about that because he is a player seeking a big contract, but that's what Garrett was seeking, and we were. I don't say we. Let me rope you in if you weren't in the under the tent with me, but I was certainly willing to do that and more for Garrett. So I'm starting at pick 30, and I think that's a good test because a lot of us who really follow the draft and talk about the prospects and listen to us talk about the prospects and all of our experts that we have on to talk about the prospects, you start getting kind of attached to the idea of picking this guy or that guy or this position or that position. And here we are now 2 weeks out, and the guy on the radio saying, hey, would you trade pick 30 for TJ Watt? But that I feel like is it's a test. It's not an easy answer, I don't think, which is why I'm asking the question. 803-0550, because anyone would take him. Get him for a day 3 pick. I'm sure. Why not? But pick 30, that's going to sting a little bit. So it brings it's a little more of a dilemma for you to solve. Anyway, 803-0550 is the number. Would love to hear from you on this. TJ Watt, yay or nay? And we'll get into the draft too as we go here. Sal Capaccio joins me at 4. Brian Koziel at 5:30. The Sabres play tonight. That means pregame with Paul Hamilton at 6. All here on WGR. Mike's out sick today. I've got Zach with me. I am the Bulldog, and this is WGR.
negotiation situation with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've seen several top edge rushers get paid. Myles Garrett topping $40 million. We still have Micah Parsons need to get paid. We still have Trey Henderson needs to get paid. But T.J. Watt, set to make just $21 million this year, is in that category. Generally, when a player makes a social media post that forces us to talk about it on TV, like we're doing right now, it is because contract negotiations are not going as well as anybody had hoped.
There's Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network doing the same thing I'm doing. Just reading into social media posts from famous football players and trying to decipher what exactly it all means. That's usually what the case is here, right? I think there's probably something going on, whether it means that T.J. Watt ends up getting traded from the Steelers. I mean, there's a lot to happen before we get there. But I think that one way to interpret him posting a picture of himself giving the peace sign, walking off the field in his Steelers uniform is that's like peace out. Right? I see you later. I don't know why. Just for you watching on Twitch and YouTube, I'm holding up the peace sign. I don't know if is that show. Gee, is that showing up on the feed? I can't tell. I don't have it open right now. Anyway. So stupid. 803-0550 is the number. Real quick, I'm going to get the calls right here on this Watt question, and then hopefully we'll get to some draft conversation too. Mike usually brings it up once we get to this week, Masters Week. It's our majors bet, right? One of us, Brian, myself, and Mike, we have this bet. We've been doing it for more than 10 years now. And the four majors, we take turns picking 10 golfers, and the other two players get the field. The other two participants. We're not playing. I mean, we're playing this game anyway. So I've got my 10 guys. Terrell Hatton is not one of them. Watching him stand over a 5-foot par putt and wanting him very badly to miss it, and then seeing him miss it, it's. I'll stop short of it's the best because it's over in a flash, but it's good.
It gets you going.
It's good,
and it's only Thursday.
It's juice. Is what you want. You want some juice? It's juice, right? There's not high stakes here at all between the three of us, but it's fun, and it's like every guy you don't have, and for them, the 10 guys I do have, same thing. Like that. Here's Oberg for birdie. And he missed it. So if Mike and Brian are watching, they just fist. Oh, yeah. Because I've got Oberg on my team. I love it. It's fun. 803-0550, again, is the number. Let's fire it up. Rob is first up this segment. Hi, Rob. Thank you so much for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, how's it going, Bulldog?
Good, man.
I had a comment about trading the 30th pick for T.J. Watt. I say, why not do it? Other than Allen being the superstar stud that he is, Rousseau's a good player we got in the first round. Oliver's a good player we got in the first round. Other than that, Coleman hasn't really done much. Elam was a bust. Trade the first round for someone who's proven. Like you said, he was Defensive Player of the Year. He's a stud. Go get him if he's available. Why not? Got plenty of picks left in the draft. Why not do it?
Yep, that's where I'm at. The hitch is, what's the reason not to do it? Well, you're giving up a rookie on a rookie contract, and that's not nothing. You mentioned Josh Allen. His contract, their salary cap, all of that is real. Like, I know the cap just keeps going up, but you're basically trading a rookie contract for 5 years. Well, 4 years plus a fifth-year option with a first-round pick. And that fifth-year option can be pretty pricey, but still, it's way cheaper than paying T.J. Watt market rate right now out of the box. Like, you trade 30 for him, you are giving him a contract, I think, somewhat comparable to what Myles Garrett just got. I don't know that it has to be ahead of Myles Garrett, which is averaging $40 million a year, but it's going to be close. And so the financial ramifications of that choice they're large, right? The Bills should be in the business right now of trying to fill their roster with value players. And those are almost, not all. You can find value free agents out there and get some good bang for the buck, out of a free agent here or there. I think you would say like Mac Hollins fits this description last year. They did not pay him a lot. He led them in touchdown receptions, as modest as 5 receptions for touchdowns is to lead a team. He did, and he played a role on this team, and he helped them. That's a value player in free agency. But mostly in the NFL, the way the system works, the good players that you get on rookie contracts when you draft them and you hit on them, you need that to sustain you once you're paying your quarterback, top of the market contract, which is what the Bills are doing currently with Josh Allen. So, they can find a way to make it work, but it's financially it's much more difficult to continue adding and replenishing if you're giving up the youth on a rookie contract for a 30-year-old player. Now, the reason you do it is you're getting a proven commodity who you can pencil in for sacks in the teens here. Assuming he's healthy, you're getting an elite player at his position. I don't know if this is a player that is close to the edge, as far as his career. He did miss that playoff game against the Bills at the end of the 23 season, but he is just one season removed from a 19-sack season. That season, 23, when he missed that playoff game against the Bills, was 19 sacks. 11.5 last year, so somewhat of a down year. He played them all last year for the Steelers. So I don't know, maybe that would give you some pause, but you're talking about an elite player to me that still has good, if not great, years ahead of him. I think you definitely want to have great years left ahead of you if you're paying the price and paying the contract. But that's why you don't do it, is it's expensive. It costs a lot to add proven, top of the market sack artists to your team. Travis is next up. Thanks for calling, Travis. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, what's going on, Bulldog? So my thoughts are on this TJ Watt crypticness. Yeah, if he's available, great. If we could get him, let's go for him. And my thoughts are, let's not give up our first. Let's try to combine maybe a second in like Epinesa or something. You know what I mean? Like let's just try to get away from the first, the first round pick idea, right? Let's go maybe a second and a third. We have all this draft capital. Let's just go something of that nature and a player. Maybe that will get us him, because either way, we're still going to have to sign this guy, right? And we're still going to have to pay him.
Yep. Yeah, and look, we always say it. I always say it. Part of what the team acquiring the player, part of what they're paying the team trading away the asset, in this case the Steelers, is we're taking the headache off your hands. You got a problem you can't solve. You don't want to pay this player the going rate, and I'm taking that off your hands. That should impact what I'm giving you in return. To some extent, I still think anything less than a first might be tough. But
yeah,
and thank you for the call, Travis. Once you get into like, let's James Cook. Look, I'm not saying don't try that, right? If Bean is talking to the Steelers, and I'm just going to say I hope that he is. If he's talking to the Steelers, I am absolutely seeing if they have any interest in trading their contractual, if it is a problem, their contractual problem, TJ Watt, for my contractual problem, James Cook. And if they want to do that, man, if they want to count that, if that can keep me from having to give up a first-round pick, if I can give you James Cook in a second, and you go, yeah, okay, that's good, and we're going to pay James Cook, thank you. We've just washed each other's backs here. I just don't know how realistic that is. The motivation for the Steelers to do this, and this might be the most unrealistic part of the whole thing, is for them to find religion about rebuilding and starting over and stockpiling assets and trying to figure out a way to a quarterback who can really, take hold there. because since Roethlisberger deteriorated and then retired, they have been just wandering here. The Kenny Pickett thing, Mason Rudolph started a playoff game against the Bills, for God's sakes, and last year they ended up on Fields and Russell Wilson, and now they're waiting for Aaron Rodgers to return their texts or something. Like, I mean, oh my gosh. They should absolutely be starting over, and trading 30-year-old players that can net you first-round picks is a thing you should be in the business of doing if you're the Steelers. I just don't know that they'll do it. I don't know that they view themselves that way. They have been getting by all this time without ever really falling back. And so maybe they're inclined to just keep going, and if they are, then this is probably a non-starter no matter what I put on the table for them. But I'd want to try. And if they do feel like they need to move on from this player, I want to be in the conversation for sure. 803-0550 is the number. We'll hit a quick timeout here, come back for more. Sal Capaccio joining me at 4, Brian Koziel at 5:30 on the Masters. Scheffler is in the clubhouse with a 4 under par round, so he is tied for second currently at the Masters. Justin Rose still on the course at 6 under, playing the 13th hole as we speak. Still a lot of golf to be played. Rory's there at 2 under, only through 8, so still the whole back 9 plus 1 hole to go for him. We'll keep you posted on that as we go through the afternoon. Sabres tonight as well. Paul Hamilton joins at 6 for pregame. I'm the Bulldog. Mike is out today. Zach Jones alongside. This is WGR.
More of Show.
Super cool of you to hang out with me today. Mike is out again today, and he'll be out tomorrow. That was scheduled. These last two are not, so wishing him the best. Zach is here. I'll have Nate Geary in for the full ride tomorrow on the show, so looking forward to that. But just hanging out here by myself today, with Zach. And, of course, all of you, just, watching the golf, just hanging out watching the golf. Loving the golf. 803-0550 is the number. TJ Watt on the table as a conversation piece. The NFL draft in its entirety, of course, 2 weeks away from today, from round one. We'll have, by the way, we will have our NFL draft special coming your way next week, Thursday. So this day next week, we will have that for you, and want to let you know that's from 4 to 6:30. Going to be streaming on YouTube. Zach, this copy only says YouTube. What about the Twitch? That's
should be on the Twitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel bad. They're getting slighted here. Anyway, we'll be streaming like we are all our shows now. Streaming video, I mean. Shows have been streaming online for decades, I think. Anyway, our draft special next Thursday, 4 to 6:30. We'll bring you the latest insights and mock draft predictions, insider information, and guest appearances from everyone here. Jeremy White, Joe DiBiase, the aforementioned Nate Geary, and, of course, our Sal Capaccio. The show is presented by your Upstate Honda dealers. Visit your local Upstate Honda dealer today for excellent deals on the entire Honda lineup, including the all-new Passport. One listener on Twitter makes, I think, a good point, not exactly the way that I would have made it, but I'm talking about TJ Watt, and the Twitter response is, we just signed Bosa. I thought that sort of solved that position. Isn't it overkill a little bit? And I hear that. What I think, a good point, got to consider the depth chart. When I was so hot and horny for Myles Garrett, Gregory Rousseau being included in that trade package was a key element of that to me, because I'm going to acquire a defensive end that I think at the time I was saying I'm going to pay $30 million. It turns out they're paying him $40 million, Cleveland, to keep him. But still, so the price went up, but the point still holds. I'm going to acquire a player, give him a top-of-the-market contract, and also give Gregory Rousseau a lucrative new contract extension. Now, Rousseau's contract came in under what I anticipated it would, and what I think a lot of the projections anticipated it would, by, a few million a year. Not a massive discrepancy there, but still. So I've kept Rousseau. I did sign Bosa. I have Epinesa. Really, it's Rousseau. I've committed mid-tier big money. I mean, he's making his his annual average value on his contract is about half of what Myles Garrett's is. But still, it's a big commitment. And then now throwing another big contract at that position in on top of it might be tough to swallow. Might be hard for the Bills to do. It's possible, they realized, like all of us, when Myles Garrett, and maybe they knew way before we did, that he wasn't getting traded. But either way, they pivoted and made their moves in free agency, and they re-signed Rousseau, and they did go get Bosa, and they signed Michael Hoyt. And sure, he's going to miss games, but still, they had a plan, and they've executed it. And I wonder if they feel like they have the flexibility to fit a top-of-market pass rusher on their team right now with the moves they made. None of them are the equal to what a TJ Watt or a Myles Garrett would have been if he had been moved, but you still have numbers of people, and in the case of Rousseau, a hearty, healthy salary there. So that might be the biggest strike against this idea coming to fruition or getting really any traction with the Bills or with Bills fans. Anyway, we'll sort some of that out and talk about the draft with our Sal Capaccio when we continue. More time for your calls after Sal. So if you got any comments or questions about anything that's going on here that we're talking about, or even something off the board, please do feel free to hit me up at 803-0550 after we talk to Sal, which we will do right after this. Mike is out today along with Zach Jones. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR.
Sabres game tonight as they are in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. Pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. Still no Josh Norris or Jordan Greenway at morning skate today, and James Reimer, he is expected to get another start in net. And if the Sabres do win tonight, it will give head coach Lindy Ruff 900 wins for his career. For more on that, our own Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. 9 other games tonight in the NHL. Some notables. Florida hosts Detroit at 7. 7:30 sees Carolina in D.C. to take on the Capitals. 2 games at 9. Colorado hosts Vancouver and Nashville is in Utah. Then at 10 o'clock tonight, we'll wrap up with 2 games. Kings have the Ducks in town and Vegas hosts Seattle. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the NFL Draft. Howard Simon and Joe Marino continuing their draft profiles up at our website, WGR550.com. And defensive tackles are on the docket. Ohio State's Tyler Williams and Texas's Alfred Collins, among others, are already up. And we'll also get more on the draft as Sal Capaccio joins the show next. For the Bisons, weather has not been kind to them for the early parts of the season. Today's game has been postponed due to rain. It's going to be made up on Saturday in a single-admission doubleheader. Toronto is in action today. They are looking for a 4-game sweep of the Red Sox when that game gets going here in just a few minutes. And then the Masters underway today from Augusta, Georgia. Justin Rose sits alone in the lead, 6 under par. He's in the middle of his back 9 now. We'll get more on round 1 when Brian Koziel joins the show at 5:30. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet is celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Filling up right behind the Bills bench right now with their flags and their hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo chant.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
I just did not feel compelled to talk over that this time for some reason. I just didn't want to do it. Glad to have you with us here on this Thursday. A nice, cold, wintry April Thursday that we're dealing with here. I am the Bulldog. Mike is out today. Zach Jones along for the ride as well, and happy to welcome in our man Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. And Sal, I just saw your tweet, and I am instantly intrigued. Because I know you're a pro. You wouldn't bring nonsense to the table. If I ever joined your Extra Point show, not that I've ever been asked, if I ever did, I probably would bring garbage. I'm just telling you, I can't be trusted. But I have faith in.
Okay, well, first of all, 3 things. I'm glad you said that. I've never wanted to reach out to you because I know you have your own show in the afternoon. I don't want to bother you. So that's why. So you know what, though? That's a good idea. We're going to have you on the Extra Point show soon. Number 2, you didn't want to talk over that because the bullpen always makes fun of me for the hey, 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 hey instead of hey, hey. Okay. I get it. I know. It was in the moment. That was. I will tell you. That was, hey, bullpen. That was Dallas. That was in Dallas. It was Thanksgiving, and it was just crazy. The Bills were winning. They've arrived, and I'm like, the fans are coming down, and they're doing their hey, 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 hey. But I said it, hey, 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 right? And I did it like that, and it became a thing in the bullpen. Yes. I get it. I know. Yeah, I know.
That I don't know. I try not to get lost in there. But I feel like a lot of the chatter about Italy has died down. I don't know. I
think so. Well, Italy's done. You can't go anymore, bullpen, okay?
Oh, all right. You can't. It's closed. That's why. It makes sense.
I wish. You missed the deadline on that.
But I did see somebody asking if they could sit next to you on the plane or something today.
I know.
Anyway, I don't. Owen handles that on the morning show. Like G is handling it right now. And it's so weird. Like he's just started here, and I'm happy for him. He's enjoying the job. Jaron and Joe bring him in, and he's talking on the air sometimes, and it's good for him. I'm proud of him. He comes in the door the other night after doing some coaching at Nichols, and is telling me about some guy he had to ban or something, and I'm like, dude, I have spent like 30 years of my professional life avoiding this kind of crap. I do not need to hear this from you over dinner. I mean, I don't want to tell you to your face, you're my kid, I love you. I don't care, but I don't care. I don't want to know about some guy said something mean to Jeremy about egg salad or something. I mean, What am I doing? I'm in my home here. I don't need this anyway. Bullpen.
It just shows you how long we've been doing
we
this.
Love
and
you.
how
We
old
love
are,
that you care so much, Bullpen. That's really
Yes.
it does. All right. So what's your
Twitter mystery
drama?
I have
mystery?
brought this up to you before, and I'm not kidding. This truly bothers me. I don't understand what's going on here. I brought this up to you before, but I'm going to ask you again.
Okay.
Why can you not tag Paul? You write at pham1717. It is not a link. It just shows up as text.
Oh.
And it bothers me every single time. Does Paul have you like muted or blocked or something like that? Is it your end? I'm not kidding you. This is not even like a bit. It bothers me every single time I see it. It's like it's just one of those things that I see and it draws my attention.
I don't know. I have noticed that. I don't remember you ever bringing this up to me, but that, I don't remember a lot of things, Sal. I'm going to be 60 in July. I mean, this is what happens.
I'm passing one time, I think I did.
Yeah,
every time I see it.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. It could be something on my end, but I don't think I have any
but
weird.
You tagged me just fine.
Right, yeah. I don't think I have any weird settings. I don't know, maybe I swear too much.
Okay, like you guys, who's producing the bullpen right now? Is that
G is in there? Yeah,
G needs to clip that right there. Maybe I swear too much. What you just said, that's great. I don't know. It is a mystery to me, Paul. So what's happening is, and maybe we can have some bullpen sleuths. Okay, help us out here.
Oh, boy.
So what I'm talking about is when Bulldog tweets about the show and who's coming on, he says, "I got Sal Sports, I got Brian WGR." And then whenever he has Paul on, and this could be multiple times a week, whatever, he writes at pham1717, but it doesn't show up as an actual tag.
That's so funny because
it just shows up as a text, and it's weird.
When I do it, he comes right up just like you and Brian and anyone else that I tag, other guests that we have on, Trapasso or whomever, and it shows up in that blue font, right, on the tweet. But when I go to do that with Paul, I type in at PH and his account shows up and I click it and it fills it in there, and it doesn't. I don't know why it does not link to it. I think.
Do you always do it on the same device?
No, I definitely don't. Today I did this on my iPad. Yesterday I would have done this from in here. But you know what? Now you've got me. I want to try from my desktop here.
Okay.
To see, I'm gonna bear with us here, folks.
Yeah, just write test or something. This bothers me. And by the way, I'm reading the bullpen right now. AC Man, we're not talking about Paul blocking me. Paul does not have me blocked.
No.
I can actually tweet at Paul. We're talking about Bulldog here, how he, for some reason, when he writes his name in, when he writes his tag, it does not show up as a link, as a tag. It just shows up as text. And it has bothered me. This has been going on for well over a year. I know that.
I just did it, and from the desktop in the studio, it shows up as a link.
Okay.
So
we're on to something here. It's something with the device.
It's something I have. This is a newer iPad, but I got it for Christmas, but you've noticed that you brought this up not within the last few months, right? So it has happened before I had this current iPad. All right. Here, one more test. We're going to try to solve this. I'm going to try my phone.
Okay.
To see
do the same thing here.
What happens if I do this with my phone? Hang on,
this is great. I love this. We have some. We're solving the mystery as we speak here, and I think it's device related. Then is what it is.
Well, for some reason, it would not let me send a tweet from my phone just now. It said it went right to drafts, which is a little weird. I don't know why it would be doing that, but let's try one more time. Yeah, it won't let me.
Now that could simply be an internet issue. Or something,
it could. Yeah, it could be that. Yeah, I don't know what. But it won't let me do anything from my phone right now. Well, let me see if it'll let me send a regular. I'll just send without a link, without a Paul there. And you see that went through fine just now on my phone.
Okay.
I just did a test.
I see
without Paul tagged, and it went.
You just wrote test.
When I tried to tag Paul, my phone would not send the tweet.
mystery deepens.
Yeah, that did not, I thought we were going to solve it there. It's just my iPad, but now it's even weirder. This is turning into a labyrinth, Sal. This is like the White Lotus or something we got going on here. I don't know what is happening. I'm so sorry I referenced that show. I watched it. It trapped me. I had to see it through to the end, but I hated every second of it. Anyway, well, so I don't know then. I don't know what is going on. That's weird.
It's kind of weird. It's definitely weird for sure. So, all right. Well, I mean, look, we've wasted 12 minutes here, but it wasn't wasted. It was, I mean, I didn't think you brought me on to talk about this, but I thought it was important enough to bring up here with you because it's been bothering me for so much. So thank you for indulging me. And I'm glad we did because now we have something we actually have to look into.
My iPad just now would not let me send the same tagging Paul. It's doing the same thing my phone just did. But earlier, it let me. Wow, that's so strange. All right, let's set the devices down, kids. All right, it's school time. No more phones, and we'll get to work here. But thank you for bringing this dilemma to my attention. I don't know. We'll probably get a lot of different ideas about what it is that's happening. But I don't know. That's strange. All right. TJ Watt, Sal. I burned an hour of my life talking about TJ Watt before I realized at like 3:55, well, when I wanted to trade for Myles Garrett, I wanted the Bills to trade Greg Rousseau and not sign him. But they've done that already, and they've added Joey Bosa. TJ Watt's probably not realistic for this team, but what do you make of what might be happening in Pittsburgh with cryptic Instagram posts from their star pass rusher?
Well, I think TJ Watt wants a new contract. I mean, he sees what's happening with these pass rushers, right? And he's one of the best in the league. And obviously, we're talking about Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, and now Trey Hendrickson, who I'm sure at some point is going to get a new deal. TJ Watt has 1 year left on his deal. He is getting paid $21 million as a base salary. He has a cap hit of $30 million. You look at where things have gone with these players. At his age, he still has years left, I would think, or he would think he would. Now, I know he's had some injuries. This will be his 31-year-old year. He's only a year and a half older than Myles Garrett. So I think he just wants a new contract. Now, the actual act of posting that, who knows, right? We always say that these days. I try not to read too much into it, but this is the way that younger people than us behave and to communicate a lot of times. And I'm not downing that in any way. I think we have to pay attention to it. But it could also it could literally mean something with his own family or his friends or anything, right? We don't know that. But I do think that there's enough context clues here to think there's something going on that he's feeling like he needs to send some sort of message to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Do you think I arrived at the right conclusion by the end of the first hour of the show that it's probably not a realistic fit for the Bills? Or would you want to engage in a conversation about the merits of trading for TJ Watt?
I agree with that for the same reason I would say about Trey Hendrickson. I just think on top of the assets you have to give up, you have to pay them. And I don't think there's any way the Bills are in a position to do that again now. And I say again, they've already signed Joey Bosa. They've spent pretty much their cap money. They have a little bit left. They have to take care of their draft picks. They're just not in a position. Now, is there always a way? Sure. I mean, when you are that willing, you'll find a way to maneuver things to make something happen. But you still have to be able to account for what's happening down the road. And what has Brandon Beane said many times to us over? And what have his actions spoken to us this year? They are doing whatever they can to make sure they try to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years with this core and paying these guys. They've moved enough money with these guys already. They've extended. We're talking Khalil Shakir, Christian Benford, Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard. They've shaved off as much as they can off this year's salary just to be able to have them going forward. It's going to be even more challenging to be able to do that. So I just don't think it's realistic from that standpoint. On top of the fact that, what kind of assets you're giving up, and would the Pittsburgh Steelers really be willing to deal him to a team like the Buffalo Bills, who are already ahead of them in the conference?
Yeah. What do you think? I started at pick 30 because I thought that at least that that would hurt, I think, for Bills fans, right? Anyone would want to steal a guy like this and, then find your way to working out the contract and fitting it under the cap and all the business machinations that have to go on with it. Do you think multiple assets like Myles Garrett we were speculating about, we never got to find out, of course, because he re-signed in Cleveland, or do you think like a single first-round pick, even a late first-round pick, could get that done?
I guess the way I would look at it is I think he might cost less than what Trey Hendrickson would cost. And to me, it's only because of the injury history and the age. Well, actually, they're both 30 years old. They're both right around the same age. But you look at the production over the last couple of years. Trey Hendrickson, it's unbelievable, really, when you think about how great he's been. Bulldog, he has 17 and a half sacks over each of the last 2 years, right? I mean, like, he has just been so incredibly productive. You look at Watt, 11 and 19, but he's had some injuries. I guess last year he did play all the games. I didn't realize. I guess last year that's good. He hasn't been as injured.
You know, what I think happens there is you look at the games played and you go, oh, he played them all. Played them all. But in 23 he was hurt for the playoffs. Like, he missed that playoff meeting with the Bills. So I think when Bills fans talk about TJ Watt, they will get to injuries, but he's not Joey Bosa. Like, he missed a lot of 22, but his career games played, I mean, it's 15, 16, 16, 15, 15, 10 that 1 year, 17, 17. But the injury in the playoffs, I think, sort of clouds it a little bit. But I don't think he's as much of an injury thing as maybe a lot of fans feel like he is. He's not probably Bosa right at all, I don't think.
Yeah, probably right. And I'm only bringing up the injuries more of the, like, what the assets would be to get him. But I've felt it maybe a little bit less than what it would take to get Hendrickson, considering all that, but maybe not. I guess they both be around the same. I just think it's a tough lift. It's a tough lift for anybody to make a deal like that happen. And then when you talk about a team like the Bills, where they are salary cap wise, it makes it even tougher. Now, sure, would he be a fit on the roster? Of course. Where would TJ Watt not be a fit on a roster, right? Of course he would be. Where would Trey Hendrickson not be a fit on a roster? Of course he would be. These are premier players at one of the most premier critical positions in all of football. So if you could get your hands on him, that's fine. But to me, it looks like he's gauging what's happening around him. He has 1 year left in his deal. And look, I mean, he is going to be 30. He has had some injuries. If TJ Watt goes into next season with 1 year left and he does have an injury, I mean, we all know that that's the nightmare scenario for these players, right, at this age. That all of a sudden you don't get paid, so you better do it now and strike while the iron's hot and strike while you can, so you can get that money in case something does happen, you are still secure.
Yeah, he absolutely should get a new contract this offseason. The player he's been. I also think from Pittsburgh's side of this, Sal, they should finally find their way to tearing the Band-Aid off, right? Like, if I were them, a 30-year-old player that could net me a first-round pick, maybe at the least, maybe even more than that, with where they are on their timeline, again, at ground zero at quarterback, I would absolutely. Now, if they're trying to sign Aaron Rodgers, they might be deluding themselves into thinking that they're going to be better than they've been with Wilson or Fields or Kenny Pickett. And, like, okay, Rodgers has had a better career than all of those guys, even Russell Wilson. He's the closest. But in his current state, I don't know. I just think they're delusional. I think you should start rebuilding is what they should do. They should get assets to try to find their way to a quarterback that's not 40 coming off Achilles tears.
I totally agree with you. Here's the problem when I look at them. But that being said, if you're going to go with someone younger than what you said, maybe you have to almost rebuild. I think they're caught in a spot where really the only thing that makes sense for them is Rodgers. Because otherwise, who are you going with and who is playing quarterback for you with a roster that, oh, by the way, has a 36-year-old Cam Hayward, how old is, I think, 29-year-old Minka Fitzpatrick. Right. Not super old, but he's getting up there, right?
Yeah.
Watt, who's over 30 years old. Like, look at where they are with their age and their timeline. And, like, if you're going to do this, it's either one or the other. I don't think you can kind of middle it here. I don't think you can win. You have to get a guy like Rodgers, as much as that kind of seems weird to say, because it's better than the alternative of a younger guy with the roster you already have. I think this is the window. You got to kind of do it now.
Yeah, you know what? I like you as a counterpoint there with that. Like I dog them because they can't get quarterback right, but they do have, Watt, Fitzpatrick, Hayward, like you said, and they might be viewing this as a last stand for that group.
Right.
So I guess I still think they're wrong because, I just don't think it's going to work. But still, I get why they might want to make that bet. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline for just a couple of more minutes here. And I know you're clearing out of here for a while. You'll be back for our draft special next Thursday.
I will.
So this is it for a week. So we've only got a couple of minutes here. Do you got a guy? I don't know that when we get to the day of the draft, I think we'll talk like this without you. Talk about this with you. I meant to say, but I don't know that I've asked you 2 weeks out. You got a favorite idea for the Bills at this point at 30?
My favorite idea is to get if they stay there, is to draft the best available defensive tackle. I just think that is what they need to do. But I'm not dismissing drafting a corner at that spot. I think it's one or the other. So let me rephrase. The best idea for the Buffalo Bills is to pick one of those two positions and no other position. That's it. Like, to me, there's no other position they should be picking at number 30 than either defensive tackle or corner. But I think this draft has good enough defensive tackles that you're going to find a really good player at number 30, which is why I like that position a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I do think that corner can be in the mix depending on who's there, right? If someone you literally like starts falling, that's fine. But I think it's got to be a defensive tackle or a corner. And I think you have to find a defensive tackle that fits and checks the boxes that, to me, what the Bills have kind of been talking about, McDermott especially, which is bigger, stronger, stout, play the one technique, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody who is really an upgrade over Daquan Jones, let's be honest. That's really what they're looking for. They need to pair somebody with Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver is so much more at his best when he has someone who can be that guy. And Daquan Jones has been a nice player for the Bills, but he's not that type of player to really anchor your defensive line going forward.
Maybe he was before he got hurt against Jacksonville, but it seems like he's never been the same, and now he's 34. Right. Do you think if it goes right in the draft that he could be a sneaky June 1st cut candidate, or do you think they would have done that already?
I think they would have done that. I have to look at his numbers on that. I think, but it's certainly possible depending on how things go. I think what might save him in that scenario could be Larry Ogunjobi and his suspension. Right? I mean, like they go out and sign the guy, and they didn't know when they get the guy, they don't really know about the suspension until all of a sudden he brings it to him. And obviously, we know how that worked out. They wound up signing him, but that really could have an impact here. So it's funny. I really like Derek Harmon of Oregon. I think he's kind of the guy that fits here, right? Something like that. Mm-hmm. I just went to Derek Harmon's profile at NFL.com, Lance Zierlein. His NFL comparison, Daquan Jones. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, I like that idea plenty. I do, to me it's close, right? I mean, I think corner, even with the Ogunjobi suspension looming and Jones's age, I still feel like corner, like there's guys here that they can plug in to play at defensive tackle. I guess Dane Jackson is that at corner, but man, that's a pretty low ceiling, I think. So corner feels more urgent. It feels very much like the Elam Benford year here coming off the 21 season, right? Was that the 22 draft? Where, we went through the whole offseason, and Bean even said after they picked Elam, I heard you. I heard everybody talk about corner. I feel like that is kind of repeating itself here this offseason. I suppose they're still, with 2 weeks to go, they could grab a guy. Maybe they will wait to pivot to a veteran once the draft comes and goes, and they see what they end up, what kind of haul they get, right? If they get a guy or a couple guys they really like, that they feel like they can count on, like somebody's going to be able to man that spot, then there's no need to go bring Rasul Douglas back or pivot to someone else, Asante Samuel Jr. or whatever. By the way, Sal, as a sidebar, is he just wrecked physically, Samuel Jr.? I feel like it's amazing that he's still on the market.
It feels like that. There's been some stuff coming out about shoulder and neck, and that's always something you have to consider. He's never been a super willing participant in the run game, and I think that really matters to the Bills. They need people who are at least willing, even if they're not. I mean, Kyrie Elam, I don't think was great at it, but I think they saw that he was at least willing to try and go tackle. He wasn't great and physical, and it became a problem that he wasn't able to do it, and that was part of the issue. But I think you have to be willing, and I don't know if they feel that Asante Samuel is or anybody, and I think that's why he's still out there. All right, so I'm leaving, and I'll be back in a week. I'll leave you with these thoughts, and I think this is what you can chew on. Just putting everything together, kind of, listening and all that kind of stuff. Number one, out of the 3 picks, Bulldog, they have 3 picks in the first 2 rounds. I would be really surprised as I sit here today if they weren't all defense. I think they're all defense.
All defense.
First 3 picks. All defense. I would be surprised if they go wide receiver unless it's somebody they really love. But as I sit here today, it's all defense to me. Number 2, I'm thinking about what they said about Larry Ogunjobi. Why did they sign him? There was nobody really left on the market for them to sign. That gets me to they're drafting a defensive tackle. There's no other veterans out there they're bringing in. That is not the same at corner. Corner is Rasul Douglas is there. Stephon Gilmore's out there. Heck, Tre'Davious White is out there. These guys know your system. Right. I'm not advocating and saying, but what the Bills have always operated in the secondary for people who understand their system. right? It's not the same necessarily up front as it is on the back end. So that's why I get to defensive tackle is more of a priority than corner, because you can probably bridge the gap with a veteran as you bring a corner along. But I do think they need a young corner who they think they can compete for a spot.
Get a load of this guy. He comes with an interesting social media question for me specifically about why Paul Hamilton doesn't show up as being taggable in tweets when I tag Paul, and now you're leaving me. You're setting up like the next hour of the show by dropping that. You're the best, dude. All right, much love. Enjoy your time away, and we'll reconnect next Thursday, buddy.
You got it, buddy. Thanks a lot. Have a great week.
That is our Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? Sal would be surprised if all three of those picks, 1 first, 2 seconds, aren't spent on defense. What do you think, Bills fans? All defense, those first 3 picks? 803-0550 is the number. Mike is out today along with Zach Jones. I am the Bulldog, and you are listening to WGR.
Never miss.
tackle with their first-round pick, Walter Nolan.
Take on the Blue Jackets. Pregame coming up in an hour and a half at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. Still no Josh Norris or Jordan Greenway at morning skate today, and then James Reimer, is expected to get another start in net. If the Sabres do win tonight, it is going to give head coach Lindy Ruff 900 wins for his career. For more on that, Paul Hamilton has a piece up on our website, WGR550.com. We are 2 weeks away from the NFL draft as of today. Howard Simon and Joe Marino continuing their draft profiles up at our website, WGR550.com. And defensive tackles are getting the love the last few days. Ohio State's Tyler Williams and Texas's Alfred Collins, among others, are already up. No Bison's game today. The weather has not been kind to them for the early parts of this season. The game has been postponed, and it will be made up this Saturday in a single admission doubleheader. And then the Masters got underway today from Augusta, Georgia. Justin Rose sits alone at 6 under par for the lead. He is on his back 9. We'll get more on round 1 when Brian Koziel joins the show in about an hour at 5:30. And do tune in on Saturday for a special 2-hour edition of Tee to Green from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. from Pendleton Creek Golf Club. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Where a really good player is going to fall to them at 30 because of the way the draft kind of plateaus. And then picking at 56 and 62, like those are 2 starters right there. So I think the Bills can beef up this defense literally up front with a defensive lineman in Kenneth Grant or Tyleik Williams, get somebody that can help get you off the field as a pass rusher, and then get a coverage safety that can take away the football on the back end. And this defense would be ready to go to war with those 3 guys.
That is our dude Connor Rogers from NBC and SNY in New York City. Does a lot of draft and fantasy content for those outlets and is a pretty regular guest with us. And talking about the Bills' first 3 picks, Sal just, I don't want to exaggerate. It's not a Sal bomb. It's not a Woj bomb here, but Sal left us. He's got a break coming up here. Won't be back until next Thursday's draft special on our show. We'll have Sal and all of our guys, Nate Geary, Sneaky Joe, and Jeremy will all take turns joining us to rap about the draft. So Sal's got time off between now and then, and he left us at the end of his segment with he would be surprised if the Bills did not use all 3 of those picks. What did Connor say there? It's 30, 56, and 62? Are those the 2 seconds? I don't have that memorized yet. I by the draft, I will. But I think that's what it is. Anyway, it's around there. All 3 picks on defense. How do you think Bills fans would react to that? How do you feel about it? 803-0550. Would you be surprised, like Sal's saying, if the Bills didn't use all 3 of those picks on defenders? I think that's an interesting conversation. I get it. I think it could be called. You could make the case. I think it could. I mean, Sale does this for a living. I know he's not just coming out of left field with this. Plenty of mock drafts, I think, have gone that route. I just wonder. I wonder how. No 3rd-round pick, too, as it stands right now, right? So you're going into the NFL draft with Josh Allen as your quarterback, and your skill set players are just what's here now. It's not to say you couldn't find Khalil Shakir in round 4 or round 5 like you originally found Khalil Shakir in round 5 a few years ago, but not using any of your day 1 or 2 assets, and again, they have the 2 second rounders that sort of buffers not having a third round pick as of now. Maybe the Bills can find a way to package some of the stuff they've got for Saturday and get into round 3 at some point. I don't know. But as it stands, if they don't, because I think they'll move around, maybe even, first round, second round because of the extra stuff they have, but not like really aggressively. And I don't think they'll go add a pick. Like a third. I don't think they have the ammunition. I don't think a bunch of junk from the 6th round gets you a 3rd round pick, probably, right, is all I'm saying here. And junk is pretty pejorative, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know that they've got that. What they have is, hey, we're sitting here at, whatever pick in the 4th round, and there's a guy we really like and we want to move up 2 spots. Will you take one of these 6s off our hands? Yeah, like that. I think they'll move like that. So I'll be stunned if they use all 10 picks. But still, if they've got those 3 on Thursday and Friday, and that's it, and they use them all on defense, and then I don't pick again until Saturday, I don't know, man. I'm not sure I myself can get behind that. I'm not completely closed off to the idea of them using their first pick on a receiver. If it fell right, like if there's a guy they really like, and for whatever reason he manages to make it down the board that far, and they pounce. Because while I think you look at the team on the defensive side of the ball, of course, they need another starting corner. Duh. They need to replenish defensive tackle. You could even say they need a starter at defensive tackle. At the very least, a rotational player. Because I'm not loving what I've seen out of Daquan Jones for the last year plus since he came back off that injury late in the 23 season. Last season was just wasn't up to snuff, I don't think. So, like, Ed Oliver eats all the heat there because he's got the bigger contract and he's the younger player, 9th overall, supposed to be more of an impact player. He's been somewhat of a letdown roller coaster ride kind of guy, up and down. There's days you really love him, days you're just like, where is he? But I think the bigger issue they've got is next to him. So I totally get that. Beyond that, I mean, who are my dangerous players on offense? I mean, I think there is a need there. I say it every day. I think it's okay. They've told us for years here. I remember one of the first meetings I ever had about doing this job way back in the black and white television era. Be repetitive. They lost 2 receivers in free agency. I mean, Cooper still hasn't signed. I guess that's in the window if you want it. But they lost 2, and they brought in 1. So, and one of the ones they lost was the closest they had to a true number 1 receiver, which they went out and got actively on the market during the season when they got into the season and realized, everybody eats, looks good on the billboard, but maybe we need to do something else here. So they did. Forget what the stats are for Cooper and what kind of impact he had, again, statistically mostly, because, you can argue that he opened things up for other guys and, their offense still flourished and, okay, fine. But they went out and got a number 1 receiver to add to the team. It's irrelevant what the end result was. They felt they had the need. So they've not replaced that player. I mean, they just have not. So that's where I think receiver and the idea of them spending all 3 of those early picks, 2 seconds and a first, on defense, I'm not sure I could get 100% behind it. I still think there is a need at receiver. Michael always say when he's here, that would be 3 years in a row you've used a premium asset on a pass catcher because of Coleman last year and Kincaid the year before. I get that. I still think it's called for. I mean, they have, to me, a need for that player. And it's not to say that they draft, Matthew Golden falls to 30 and he shows up and turns into their number 1 receiver. but he'd play outside right away and, hopefully ascend at some point to becoming a guy that could be a go-to guy for you. They have a need, and I don't know where else they're going to find it. I mean, they can, maybe they'll take some flyers on the Chase Claypools of the world again this off season as we get into the spring or summer. Marquez, Valdez, Scantling, anyone? I mean, they tried their hand at that. KJ Hamler is still here. They have a need. That's it. I mean, you hear the names I'm saying here? So I think I would object to all three of those picks being used on defense. As much as I've been convinced, like they need to upgrade on defense, and they definitely need a starting corner. Maybe you can find that still in free agency, like Sal just said. I don't know, man. All three of those picks on one side of the ball would be, I think, a tough look for me to get behind. Devin is up first this segment. Hi, Devin. Thank you for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hi, how you guys doing today?
Good, man.
I heard you talking about that you wouldn't be surprised if we used our first three picks on a defender.
Hold it. Sale said that. I'm arriving at the conclusion that I don't think I don't want to do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they picked if they picked a receiver at 30 or one of the second rounders myself. But Sale thinks they'll use all three on defense.
I wouldn't be surprised if I feel like I've dove a lot into a lot of the corners that we have into this draft and a lot of the receivers and a lot of the defensive tackles. I think one of our first three picks definitely will be a defensive tackle, but don't be surprised if we blow through them first three picks and we don't draft a corner, because I feel like there's a lot of decent safeties in the draft that we can pick up. But at the same time, there's a lot of corners that are overlooked this upcoming draft, that I feel like will fall into the later rounds. There's a kid from Iowa, corner turn receiver. He's like 6'4". I watched some of the tape. He's very coachable. The Siobhan Reveal kid can drop. I just feel like that we can get a lot of corners later in the draft, especially if there's a run on corners at the end of the first round.
I like the Reveal idea a lot. That's the kid from East Carolina. Great. He's like 6'2", long arms, had a knee injury in September, so he's coming off an ACL. And if you trust that he's going to recover and, be ready, then I'm all for that. And that, I've seen him mocked at 30, like that the reason he might be available at 30 is the injury. But maybe more realistically, he's a Friday pick, and that frees you up. I agree on defensive tackle. Like, I'm not telling you they're not going to pick a D tackle with their first pick. I think it's corner or that, I think, are the two choices there. That I would be surprised if the first pick is not one of those two positions sitting here right now. But all three, boy, I don't know. They need a receiver, I think. Let's continue talking about it. More calls on the way here. If you're on hold, sit there. I'll get right to you next segment here. 803-0550 is the number. Sal says he'd be surprised if the Bills don't use all three of their top picks, 2 seconds and a first, on defensive players, and I'm raising my hand to object. 803-0550 is the number. Mike is out today, along with Zach Jones on the Bulldog, and this is WGR. Response is, we just signed Bosa. I thought that sort of solved that position. Isn't it overkill a little bit?
For free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using
response is, we just signed Bosa. I thought that sort of solved that position. Isn't it overkill a little bit? And I hear that. What I think, a good point, got to consider the depth chart. When I was so hot and horny for Myles Garrett, Gregory Rousseau being included in that trade package was
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
You think it's called for? Yeah, okay.
I think it could be called for. I think, honestly, on the defense, and I get your wide receiver point, I do feel like they need another guy. Whether it's a number one guy or not, I'm not sure. I like the pickup of Palmer. I'm hoping that can kind of take Cooper's spot. And just the fact that Samuel was hurt for most of the year, maybe they're banking on him to rebound and kind of fill that spot too. But I just think there's too many holes on the defensive side. I do agree they need a defensive tackle. I think you definitely need a cornerback. You could make the case for safety. You could maybe, maybe make a case for linebacker. I guess more of a depth piece at linebacker, just with I don't know. I feel like there's too many holes on the defensive side. Now I got a question for you. If they do go early, or even if they trade up in the first round, say somebody falls and they trade up to 25 to pick a receiver, do you feel that's an indictment on Coleman? Do you feel maybe that's could be a bit of a warning shot that maybe they weren't as happy with the way he progressed, especially after the injury?
Good question. Thank you, Larry. I like this question. I think it could be. But I think if Coleman had finished the year sort of at the level he was at before he got hurt, and so, got to 60 catches, say, and, a few more touchdowns, obviously there'd be more yards. I still think without Cooper here and with Hollins departing and Palmer the only one coming in, I think I would still be able to make the case that I need one. But I know there'd be a lot more, Coleman's going to blast off. And, fan sentiment probably wouldn't be there. There'd be a lot more people agreeing with Sal, I think, about using all three assets on defense and not worrying about receiver. I think I still would be able to get there. But sure, I think I don't think it's unfair. I mean, the Bills were so critical of Coleman at the end of the year. Both Bean and McDermott were that. I think you could. I think the way they're talking about him, you could take that as an indictment. That they're trying to make sure he does the work this offseason and shows up ready to do something for them. But I think you could take it that way, because if he had really hit, then I think I might sound at least somewhat different about it. There wouldn't be as much urgency. Jay, real quick before we hit the top, you're on WGR.
Hey, Bulldog, great job as always. So real quick, I'm with you on this notion of not using any picks in the top three. The bottom line for me is this: I've been oscillating between this and then D tackle and quarterback. Is at the end of the season last year, when you look at who was on the field, and you asked the question a little bit ago about who was their primary weapon, you think about that stat sheet on who was on the field. Who really was their A.J. Brown, right? Who was their guy to be afraid of? And I know they brought in Palmer, and I think they've seen some of the limitations on that. But at the end of the day, I think with receiver, I'm not seeing any exceptional elite players. I'm going to keep saying that. Mm-hmm. And I think they have to find a way, if they can, in this draft, that they see the receiver that can be elite. You've got to make a play for this, because then you put them in the training camp and you see what you get. At the end of the day, Palmer might be, what we signed with forgot the guy last year got hurt. Oh, my God, that was a great draft. But I just want to make sure that we're giving ourselves the best chance for John to find players and not have to rely on his life all the time. Thanks, buddy.
Jay, appreciate it very much. I mean, that's it. Who's scary on this offense? It's part of the argument for finding a way to make peace with Cook, is because, you look at the skills on this team, skilled players on this team, and who's the next scary guy? I'm not comfortable with it being a running back, but I think that's the answer. And I don't know, that in and of itself could be a problem, the way I look at it. Top three picks, the Bills, 2 seconds and a first, all of them being used on defense. Sal says he'd be surprised if they didn't use them all on defense, and I'm objecting. I don't think I would be surprised. I think there's enough of a need on offense at receiver that I think you can make the case, and I'm trying to do it. What say you? 803-0550 is the number. You want to get in on it? We'd love to have you. We got Brian coming up at 5:30, but still a whole half hour here for your calls. So get in line and get on board. We'd love to have you. Mike is out today along with Zach Jones on the Bulldog, and this is WGR.
Sabres game night tonight. They are in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. Pregame coming up in an hour at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. For the Sabres, still no Josh Norris or Jordan Greenway today at morning skate, while in net is expected again to be James Reimer. And if the Sabres do win this evening, it'll give head coach Lindy Ruff 900 wins for his career. And for more on that, our own Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. This, according to NFL reporter Ian Rappaport, former Texas wide receiver and NFL draft prospect Isaiah Bond has reportedly turned himself into Frisco police last night for a matter related to an outstanding warrant for sexual assault. He has posted bond and was subsequently released. No further information on that as of now. For the Bisons, no game today. It was postponed due to the rain here in Buffalo. The early part of the season has not been kind to the Bisons in terms of weather. Today's game will be made up in a doubleheader on Saturday, in a single admission doubleheader again on that. And then the Masters got underway today from Augusta, Georgia. Justin Rose sits alone at the top, 4 under par. He is 4 strokes ahead of the next closest golfer. He is still on his back nine with a few holes left to go. We'll get more on round 1 when Brian Koziel joins the show in a half hour at 5:30. And do stay tuned for on Saturday. We have a special 2-hour tee to green from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. from Pendleton Creek Golf Club. And your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Hard salami's okay, but it's not as good, right? Although maybe if you're French vanilla, you'd be like hard salami.
You mean the best vanilla?
The fake vanilla.
The delicious vanilla?
Fake vanilla.
The creamy vanilla without sand and dirt in it?
It's Mike Schopp.
I like that
sand
one.
and dirt. The beans.
Yeah.
The specks.
Yes.
Are the problem.
It's granular.
The actual what vanilla is, the absolute worst take you've ever had. Because it's on different levels of offensiveness.
I have a lot of questions. Number 1, how dare you?
And the Bulldog.
Maybe when you first made the ice cream, they were interested in making it, I don't know, good, and added cream to it to make it creamy, thus ice cream, not ice sand, ice gravel.
People, what do we even do?
I mean, what are we talking about?
Help.
Police! Help! Police! Help!
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Stand by every syllable of that take. Glad to have you with us here on this Thursday afternoon. I am the Bulldog. Mike is out today. Zach Jones on the Wheels of Steel hanging out as well. G manning the bullpen chat on the YouTube and the. Is there anything to be done with? Is there a chat on Twitch? I've never been to Twitch. I don't.
Well, the bullpen. I've seen some people have tried to migrate there, see what's going on. They all leave right away. So
okay.
Probably not great.
All right.
Yeah.
Just curious. I just know I always hear about the YouTube, but because that's what I end up watching. But I've never ventured into the Twitch.
It's scary over there, I'd assume.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, glad to have you with us here. Talking about the NFL draft, we've sort of segued into. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, sorry, my wife is chiming. We've never had the. She knows I prefer French vanilla ice cream. Make no mistake, she's well aware of that. But she is making the grievous mistake to be listening to the show. So she just heard that open, and I guess she's never heard the whole thing to know. So she's laughing. She's laughing with me, I think. I mean, I sure hope. Anyway, but her parents often, when we have a family party, they're the ones who bring the ice cream usually for they're hey, can we grab anything? Yeah, ice cream. Okay, great. And I feel like the first few times that happened, it was vanilla bean, and eventually that got corrected. And now, see, what I don't know is, at least I think it has, because I have not felt that disappointment opening the freezer or grabbing their bags when they came through the door and going to put stuff in there and going like, oh, it's vanilla bean. What I don't know is if their preference, like they could be on Mike's side of this whole thing. Maybe they love vanilla bean, and they've had to change because I'm such a bully, which would make me feel kind of bad. I mean, I don't hate vanilla bean ice cream. I just think when there's a better, much better, creamier, delicious choice available, you do that. French vanilla. But, I would eat. If I were at Scotty Scheffler's Champions Dinner on Tuesday at Augusta, which is the latest incarnation of this conversation about French vanilla versus vanilla bean, and he had warm skillet chocolate chip cookie with vanilla bean ice cream specified like that on the menu, I would still eat it. I mean, I'm not going to – look, crackers in bed, I'm fine.
So you're not going to wave somebody down and be like, hey, guys, we got to change out the size.
Yeah, no, not fine. But in my head, I'd be like, this isn't as good. There's room for improvement here, is what I would think. All right, enough nonsense. Like all of this isn't nonsense. Sal says he'd be surprised if the Bills didn't use their top 3 picks, a first rounder and 2 seconds, on defensive players. And I definitely wouldn't be surprised. I think I can advocate for using one of those picks on a receiver. It always really depends on, of course, how the board falls and, the depth at the positions and, what we perceive as depth at one position might not be the way the Bills see it either. They're going to have their own way of doing things, just like each of these teams is too. So, it's hard to really speculate and know, but I just wouldn't want to rule out the need for a receiver on this team at this point still. One name to perhaps keep an eye on with this in mind, and we do know, right, Isaiah Bond, it was made known, I don't know if the Bills ever said it, but it was, I think, pretty widely reported that Isaiah Bond, Texas receiver, was visiting the Bills. I think this was earlier in the week, if not late last week. Anyway, there's been a connection there. Well, here's something to pay attention to. Zach just had it in the update. Ian Rappaport and now the rest of the NFL media world is hopping on here. Former Texas wide receiver and NFL draft prospect Isaiah Bond turned himself into Frisco, Texas police this morning for a matter related to an outstanding warrant for sexual assault. Frisco PD told the insiders, is how Rappaport phrased the tweet here. He posted bond and was subsequently released. So there's a reason to take him off your draft board. I think probably for a lot of fans, if not the Bills. We'll see what they'll do their homework and, maybe they love him enough to find their way past it and listen to his explanation of whatever happened. But I wouldn't be surprised if that just removes him from consideration. And I would respect anyone out there who feels that way, because I'm pretty close to feeling that way myself. I do think the Bills at some point might be warranted for them to loosen their grip on character issues, but sexual assault is not exactly a character issue. It's a crime. Now, he's been released. He answered the bond, whatever. It's something to keep an eye on anyway. He's painted like safety orange now for me, in my mind as an idea for the Bills. That's Isaiah Bond, by the way. 803-0550 is the number if you want to get in on the conversation about the top 3 picks being all on defense. That's what Sal thinks the Bills will do. I'm not inclined to agree. I get the needs on defense; they're obvious. But I think it ignores the pretty obvious need on offense. Who are my dangerous skill players on this team? I like the Palmer idea enough. The idea that he's a Cooper replacement, like a bona fide number 1 type receiver, which is what, again, it's tricky. You have to sort of divorce yourself from what Cooper's impact statistically was and what they went out and were seeking when they got him. They went to get a guy that could beat man coverage, and Palmer's got a good reputation in that area as well. He's just never been a guy that is smashed the way Cooper had prior to his arrival here. They needed that guy. They felt they needed that guy. They gave up a 3rd-round pick to go get him. I don't think Palmer directly replaces him. I don't think I can count on Coleman to directly replace what Cooper represented on the roster. Like, Palmer to me is sort of in between. Like, I've heard this said this way, and I don't agree with this, that Palmer is a Hollins replacement. As far as playing time goes, that might be right. But if Josh Palmer's not a much better, more dangerous receiver than Mac Hollins was, then you're in trouble. I think he's sort of in between. He's sort of a hybrid of Hollins because he'll do the dirty work. I don't think he's going to cover kicks necessarily, but he's got a rep for doing all the stuff that they liked about Hollins, blocking in the run game and that kind of stuff. So he gives you that, but he's also got a 70-catch season on his resume, which is not Hollins. It's closer to Cooper, but it's not number one proven commodity territory either. So it's sort of kind of in the middle of those two, which leaves me at I still need a guy. So I can't just dismiss the idea of grabbing a receiver before Friday is over. That's the first 3 rounds. Round 1 Thursday, rounds 2 and 3 on Friday. I think by the time Friday ends, I'm looking for a pass catcher for this team. Both of the most recent additions through the draft this team made were kind of called out as the offseason began. And might be doing a lot of work there. I mean, Kincaid needs to get bigger and stronger, be more durable. Wow. Okay, get in the weight room, kid. Right? That's what that sounds like. I mean, if you strip away the niceties. And Coleman, I mean, it was even more blunt than that from McDermott and Bean, and McDermott even doubled down on it again the next time he spoke. I think maybe it was the season-ending thing, and then at the Combine or the owners' meetings or whatever it was. So they've been firing shots across the bow of the good ship Kincaid and Coleman. So that should tell you something too. To talk like that about guys that you're really counting on, well, it calls into question how much you should be counting on them. So that circles me back to, I think I need another guy out there. So I don't think I would be happy. Like we talked about, I pondered talking about dream scenarios and nightmare scenarios today. Maybe it'll be something Nate and I get into tomorrow. I got to tell you, coming out of Friday without a pass catcher might be close to nightmare for me. That's probably too strong, but whatever. I work on the radio. 803-0550 is the phone number. Lines are open. You want to get in on this conversation. Would love to have you. Mark is first up this segment. Hi, Mark. Thank you for calling. You are on the air here on WGR.
Bulldog, 9 times out of 10, I'd agree with you. I think the best defense is a Josh Allen weapon. I'm a firm believer in that. I think our defense was just so bad last year, and I'm all in. And I think it's what the McDermott and Bean have been saying, a game wrecker, talking like that. I think they should move up and get that difference maker. I don't think we don't need all our picks. Not all these guys are going to make the team. Go up and get your guy. But yeah, I'm just that's where I think they're at. They haven't addressed it. They don't have that player. But, Bulldog, just to kind of fire you up a little bit, this is off topic, and I apologize. I hate to do this to you. But what do you think about the Sabres playing their way out of a top 5 lottery pick? They're driving me nuts. It's just, I got to get to the draft, man. I'm going to have to listen to you. Thanks for having me.
I don't care at all. I mean, I can't even fathom caring about where they pick. Honesty. You want honesty? That's honesty. I do not give a single living crap about their draft position. And look, that might be short-sighted because get the best guy you can get, whatever. I mean, enough. I can't fathom caring. That's it. I could elaborate, but that would belie the idea that I'm telling you I don't care. So it's not upsetting to me. It could be. I mean, I could get really going here and like relitigate the tank for you if you want, but like I also want to go home with a smile on my face. So I'm not going to bother. No, I don't care. Move up. Get your guy. What do you want to use to move up? I mean, are you of the delusion that you can use 4th-round picks to move up half the board in the first round? Would you advocate for burning next year's one to move up? Do you want to use your seconds to move up? I don't think and draft a guy. Like, look, using assets like that, burning them on a proven player, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, when we were talking about Myles Garrett, TJ Watt's back in the news, Hendrickson. That's a different conversation. You're getting a proven commodity. Man, I'd be stunned if they went way up. Now, they may move a bit, right? Modest moves, like they did in the Kincaid year or the Elam year, and that doesn't cost you your day 2 picks, and nor should it. So maybe they do that, but going way up, I don't see that at all. And I don't know. The defense was so terrible. I mean, I know what the playoff game looked like. They still were. They did get a stop at the end when they needed it. They got the ball back to their offense, and they couldn't get a first down. I don't know, man. So terrible. I just feel it's overstated. They need to replenish. Yes. They need to get a big fat guy next to Ed Oliver. Yes. They need a corner. Yes. Would I love Nick Emenworry dancing around in my secondary? Yes. God, yes. All of it. I'm here for it. But moving up, way up, go get your guy. I mean, what are you talking about? I just don't. I don't think that's called for. That's something that would stun me. Getting aggressive to go get your quarterback is one thing, which they obviously were in 2018 when they drafted Josh Allen. Doing that for a D tackle, I don't see it. That would really, really shock me. I think they need to use these picks, and I just don't think they need to use all 3 of them on defense. I think a receiver is called for. And, depending on how it all falls, would it surprise me if that was at pick 30? Yes. I wouldn't want to rule it out, but it would surprise me if it were that pick. I think, beyond that, either of the second-round picks, I think, should be in play for a pass catcher, for a receiver. I think that's maybe my ideal scenario. As much as I know they need that big guy, and they need another edge guy, and they need a corner, this is where you don't want me running your team. Because my dream scenario is, this is the freakazoid safety from South Carolina, Emenworry. That's my dream scenario. I have trouble keeping my pants on when I think about him roaming around the Bills secondary, coached by Sean McDermott. I think that could be, that's a game wrecker. It's not someone that's, smashing your head in on the defensive line. But, geez, if that guy is any semblance of the new style, the Kyle Hamilton type dude, that guy is a defense changer for you. You could just do so many things with him. And my dream scenario is that he falls to 30. And the Bills just, they can't deny it. No, it's not the biggest need we have, but it's the best player by a mile on the board. And we're just going to do it, and we're going to find a way to make that work. I love that idea. Love it. I might even tell you my nightmare scenario is they get to pick 30 and he's on the board and they pass. That would be, because, we never, often, I like this guy, and you don't get to find out if you're thinking what they might like lines up with what they really like, right? This was Travis Etienne a few years ago. We didn't get the chance to see if they would do it. I advocated for it, even though, I regret it now. I still don't want first-round running backs. But I kind of fell for he's a weapon. He'll play in the slot. Like all that. Now, I think we know that that's mostly nonsense now. But at the time, that sounded great to me. And then Jacksonville picked him like a pick or two before the Bills, and we never got to find out if they would do it. And that's kind of how I feel about Evan Worry here. It's so wild. I mean, the draft and opinions about the draft, it's just so interesting that you've got people who will tell you, certified excellent draft analysts. Certified is a weird way to put that, but the big names that think there's no way this guy gets out of the top 20 in the draft. And there's other people that really follow the draft and all these prospects and watch a ton of tape. They're like, I don't like any of these safeties. So who knows what'll happen come Thursday night? But him being there and the Bills picking him, that's my numero uno. Even though it's not the most glaring need the team has, man, I just think that would be that is, I can get lost thinking about that dude roaming around the Bills defense, man. Evan Worry, so I'm talking about, the safety from South Carolina. 6'3", 220, ran in the 4.3s. Sign me up. Bring it on. And played the position. Can do it all. Greg Cosell, NFL Films, weekly guest with the guys on One Bills Live. I heard him a couple of weeks ago talking to too high shell, fine. Post, fine. Slot corner, fine. Big nickel, fine. Where do I sign up? That's got to be my dude. So that's my dream scenario. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it very much. And, good effort trying to derail me with am I mad that the Sabres aren't going to have as good a draft pick because they're winning? I do not care. Sabre pregame coming up in about 40 minutes. Paul Hamilton will join me then. Speaking of the Sabres, our pregame and postgame and intermission host, Brian Koziel, will join me after a break here on round one of the Masters, which is still ongoing. Rose at the top still. 6 under? Is that 6 under?
He is 8 under.
8 under. Sorry. I got the glasses are tough. And I need to do something about that. All right. Anyway, Brian on the Masters right after this. Mike is off on the Bulldog. This is WGR.
We know
Blue Jackets pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. For the Sabres, still no Josh Norris or Jordan Greenway at morning skate today. And then in net, all signs are pointing to James Reimer getting yet another start. And if the Sabres do win tonight, it will give head coach Lindy Ruff 900 wins for his career. The NFL Draft, we are exactly 2 weeks away from the first round. And NFL Draft prospect, wide receiver Isaiah Bond reportedly turned himself into Frisco police this morning for a matter related to an outstanding warrant for sexual assault. He did post bond and was subsequently released, and Bond also released a statement saying he is innocent and that he will be in full cooperation with authorities and will continue to be an active and willing participant in the investigation. Weather has not been kind to the Buffalo Bisons in the early parts of this season. Today's game was postponed due to rain. It'll be made up on Saturday in a single admission doubleheader. And then the Masters did get underway today in Augusta, Georgia. Justin Rose sits alone for the lead, 8 under par. He is 4 strokes ahead of the next closest golfer. He is wrapping up his back 9 now. We are going to get more on round 1 when Brian Koziel joins the show next. And do stay tuned, is on Saturday, a special 2-hour edition of Tee to Green from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. from Pendleton Creek Golf Club. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It wasn't easy out there. The greens were starting to firm up. It's definitely going to be a firm Masters this year. And yeah, I thought I was playing pretty tough out there. Did a good job of managing my way around the course. Like you said, kept the card clean with no bogeys. And that making no bogeys around here, you're always going to have a pretty good score.
That is Scotty Scheffler, 4 under 68 for round 1 for him. Has him 4 shots back as of now. Justin Rose is playing the 18th hole at 8 under. Right now, he is your leader, and barring a catastrophe on the 18th hole, he's going to be, I would expect, I don't know, a few guys are still got some holes left, so maybe somebody can catch him. DeChambeau's only through 13, Alberg's through 14, Rory's through 14, whatever. Rose is probably going to end up leading round 1. Let's bring Brian Koziel in to help us make sense of it all as we are into the first major of the year. Brian joining us on the West Her Hotline. Good evening, Brian. How much of the golf have you enjoyed this morning/afternoon?
Yeah, it's a good amount. I've been really excited to watch today. The leaderboard is super juicy. I mean, you've got major champions 1, 2, 3 right now, and guys that have been playing well as of late. So really, really fun. What you said about Rose, I mean, geez, my goodness, this guy, you wouldn't expect with what he's had over the last year. He's been very, very hot and cold. I mean, this year, maybe the last 2 biggest tournaments, the Players' Championship, he misses the cut. The Genesis Invitational, he misses the cut. He did finish tied for 3rd at Pebble Beach, but not much this year. Then before that, it was a missed cut. So there was really a lot of signs of him coming in that we might see this. But if he gets this, as you would say, into the garage with the lead here, he'll have 5 times in his career that he will have led after the first round, which will be the most in history. Nicholas and Rose have the most leads or co-leads after the first round with 4. So if Rose gets this in and no one else catches him, he'll have the most ever first round leaders, which is that's a pretty cool accomplishment for him. He's obviously coming ready to go.
Yeah, really impressive. I have not. He must have teed off just as I was leaving to come here, or maybe a little bit before that. I've hardly seen him. When I've looked up while I'm in here working, I feel like I'm not hardly ever seeing him hitting the ball. So he's done this without my eyeballs on him, but pretty impressive day. What did you make of, Scotty? And I guess, we'll just tackle Scotty first. He had the putter going early, it looked like.
He did, and I think as you and I talked about yesterday with Scheffler, that if even just an average putting week likely means he's got a great chance to win because he's just so good all the way from the tee all the way to the green. Bogey-free, got to be pretty happy with that. No mistakes. He's been really, really good with that. I saw a stat reading up on Scheffler this week that I thought was super interesting about maybe why this year he hasn't won yet, or why this year he hasn't been, quote, as dominant as he was the last 2. It was a cool stat. It was called bounce back. And basically it was a how do you recover from a shot that goes in trouble? So a tee shot that doesn't hit a fairway or an approach shot that doesn't hit a green, how do you bounce back? Are you able to like if you don't hit the fairway off the tee, are you still able to hit the green in regulation? Or if you miss the green in regulation, are you still able to get up and down for par?
Mm-hmm.
And the last 2 years coming into the Masters, he was second in 2023 and second in 2024. This year, he's 84th coming in. So when he's had that, off shot, he's been able to recover and just, as if it was no big deal. This year, obviously way down in the numbers in that. So maybe when he gets in trouble this year, he hasn't been able to recover as much. That could be a piece as to why maybe he hasn't won yet. But today, picture perfect. Obviously, if there was any trouble out there, he was able to recover because he played bogey-free, no 3 putts, and ends up with a 4-under round of 68. So for him, today, he's got to feel really good about how he handled it.
Right. And I'm an idiot over here talking about Rose, as long as he avoids catastrophe. He's on the green here. He's putting for par. I can't tell how far. It looks like a pretty lengthy par putt. So we'll see if he drops a stroke here. But he definitely avoided catastrophe is all I'm saying. He's on the green with a par putt. So not like he was in the pine straw or anything. So looks like about a 15-footer maybe. Are you watching too?
Yeah, he hit his drive on 18 into the trees, so he had to punch out sideways back into the fairway, and then he hit on in 3. So, yeah, he's got a par putt right now.
How about McIlroy? Again, another one of these guys that's been playing while I've been here, so I haven't seen shot by shot, but looks like, he's reversing the trend of the bad first round at the Masters.
For sure. We've been talking about for a decade that if McIlroy could just not play poorly in round 1, he probably would have multiple green jackets by now. He's been so good coming back and getting himself an opportunity, but he always buries himself early. Not today. He's obviously still has a few holes left to go, but as Scheffler played bogey-free, right now McIlroy, who's got 4 holes left, has also played bogey-free. So that to me, with how good he has been coming in, I was just thinking, look, just don't bury yourself today, and you'll likely be a part of the story on Sunday. And it looks as though, again, barring something crazy here coming in, that he's going to give himself this opportunity here. Worst case, or even if he pars in, he's going to likely maybe be tied for second unless somebody gets really hot at the end here. So he's also just missed a short putt on 14 that was a birdie or opportunity. He missed a real short one on the first hole of the day when he hit a really good approach shot. So I think he probably might even come off here and say, I could have been even a couple better than what he ends up with. But I'm sure he'll be happy if he's able to get this in with a clean card and no bogeys. He still has one of the easiest holes on the course coming up scoring-wise in the 15th, the par 5. So he might have a chance here to get another birdie coming in.
Right, or maybe even an eagle. Don't sell him short, Brian. Brian Koziel on the Western Hotline with me here on WGR going over round 1 of the Masters. Looking at the conditions currently, I know when I was watching earlier, they had talked about the wind kicking up maybe in the afternoon. It looks very calm now. What have you made of the conditions all day?
Yeah, it looks like, I'm watching right now, the flag's not even moving as I'm watching DeChambeau lining up here to putt. So it's been pretty calm. The couple of the golfers, including Scheffler, that I've heard their post-round interview say that the greens are firming up and getting drier. So maybe, as the day goes on each day, we'll see that. And the weather looks great for the next 3 days. So it looks as though we won't have to sit here and worry about rain delays or any sort of weather issues. Tomorrow, it looks as though they're it's upper 60s and sunny. Saturday, mid-60s and sunny. And Sunday, upper 60s and sunny. So all good weather upcoming there to the point where they can probably, because of the amount of equipment and the air flow that they have underneath these greens, the folks that run the tournament can pretty much do what they're going to be able to do what they want with it. So if they want to make it firm and hard and get these crusty greens growing to the point where they're lightning quick, they have the opportunity to do so. Or if they want to water them and soften them up or cut them a little less, they can do that too. So I think weather won't be a factor, so they'll have exactly what they want going into this tournament in terms of the conditions.
Boy, the greens there. I mean, you've been there. Some of the shots. The one they just showed at DeChambeau putting, and he missed that birdie putt. Didn't show it as much as other shots. When they get you a ground level shot that really gets you an idea of just how much change there is in even on the greens, just the undulations. It's kind of incredible to see.
was so in awe of what they do on and around the greens. Now, after being there and seeing it in person, the greens would eat all of us up if we were playing this, just because you just don't know. And I'm not even insulting good golfers that are listening here. It's just, if you don't know it, you might think, oh, I just hit a really perfect chip, or I might just hit a perfect putt, and then all of a sudden a break takes it or a slope takes it, and you're like, where is this ball going? It's rolling off the green. You really, really need to know how these greens roll and where the slopes are, where the undulations are, and how they break. And tournament experience is so important, which is why I think a lot of times we do see the leaderboard being as good as it is, because it's veteran experience, top players in the world. They just know where to hit it. I know players say so much it's a second shot golf course. Like, where on the green do you need to hit it? I mean, how often, even just on day one, have you been watching and they hit a shot and you're like, oh, that's okay. But then by the time it feeds to the hole or it starts rolling, you're like, wow, that's a lot better than maybe you thought. And they knew, well, look, if I aim and hit this 50 feet right of the pin, it's going to go exactly where I want to. Or how often do we see a shot that maybe, oh, look, that's right at the pin, and then it ends up being rolling off the green because of just the slope. So, yeah, you got to know where to hit it. And these guys obviously study it and prepare and are the best in the world at it. But yeah, from being there in person, I'll totally agree with you. I am so appreciative of their ability around these greens. I think they're as tough as any in the world.
The speed is incredible, and as evidenced by, I saw a highlight. I know this might be a dopey way to make the point, but did you see the highlight of one of Rory's little kids making that putt from so far away? Yeah. Like she barely touched the thing. She
barely touched it.
And Lowry was reacting like that was crazy to watch. And that was a camera angle that did not tell you that was a dramatic slope to the hole, but you could see the way the ball reacted. Obviously, it was. I mean, a 4-year-old kid tapped it and it rolled like 30 feet. It was crazy. So
and Lowry knew halfway down, like, this could be perfect. He started like raising his arms and like closing in, and we're like, it's not even halfway there. How do you know? And he knew it was going to pick up speed. Yeah, that was a cool moment.
Rose did drop a stroke. He missed that par putt, so he's in at 65, so 7 under for him on the day. Still a fantastic day. So, I don't know. Who do you like going into tomorrow at this point, Brian? I mean, you mentioned it's early to call. Is there anybody that you think has played their way out of it? I mentioned McIntyre as one of my picks, and I saw he posted a 75 or something, which, is quite a ways back now, 10 shots back.
I mean, if Rose wasn't at 7, I feel like I could almost argue that almost anybody's involved, because then the next group's at 4. But 7... you're going to need help from Justin Rose. It's only one player, so he can have a bad hole, and then you bring in a whole bunch of players. I don't know, if you're +4 or worse, maybe that's too much to overcome. Poor Nick Dunlop. Hopefully you didn't have him.
No.
I know you didn't in the pick 10, but he shot a 90 today. No birdies the entire round. And, I mean, he had... You wouldn't say, oh, he must have had like a 12 on a hole, but not really. He had, let's see, a triple, a double, and a double to finish. So, like, it was normally when you see a score like that, he must have taken a 12 on a hole. Like, no, his highest score, he had 1 7. Everything else he had a couple of 6s, but just a lot of bogeys and double bogeys, and it added up to a 90.
This sounds like me and my kid playing in Puerto Rico last week. That's what that sounds like.
When the next worst score is 79, I mean, I'm sure he's embarrassed by that for sure, and he's not a bad player in any capacity, but he just obviously
had a disaster of a day. Yeah.
Yeah. Out of the big names that you were asking me about here, I mean, who would? I guess the name that I would say that I would be most disappointed if I'm this person is Jon Rahm. He's 3 over. He's tied for 64th. There's nobody really after him that I would have even tried to make an argument for to say, like, oh, this guy has a chance to win. So I'll give you Rahm as that answer. McIntyre +3 as well. Maybe a little surprising, but Rahm just... Since he, I know I've said this before, I hate that I don't have more substance on this, but ever since he's gone to live, just like his edge and his greatness in these big time tournaments. I mean, last year he made the cut on the number at the Masters. The U.S. Open, the PGA, he misses the cut. At the PGA, he had to withdraw because he had that cut on his toe. Like, it was just, he just has not been the same since he's gone to live, and, Some people might say, oh, that's karma or whatever, but he's not been the same. And he's such a competitor. I wonder if, you're in these tournaments, it's only 54 holes, it's a shotgun start, you're wearing shorts, all these sort of things. I don't want to take away from his ability as a player, but I wonder if you lose a teeny bit little edge, and that's maybe the difference from what makes you elite versus just really awesome.
Yeah, maybe you there's some I'm really getting under the hood here, but guilt is maybe too strong a word, but it takes something out of you if you do something, if your conscience isn't 100% clear. If you thought this was offensive and then you end up being seduced by it, I could see that sort of messing with your head a little bit.
Yeah, and he was so vocal about calling out all the guys that went.
Right.
And then he was really the last big name that left. I mean, the Koepkas and the DeChambos and Mickelsons, they left right away when the league was formed, and Rahm did not. And then, 2 years ago he leaves, and that was the last big name. Since then, we really haven't seen much movement at all. And I think the players, the bigger names that were going to leave, I think obviously at this point, what is done. And because I think LIV, while it's done what it's supposed to do in terms of lining their wallets, they've done that, but I don't know if it's made much progress in terms of quote growing the game, I guess.
All right, Brian, excellent job. Double duty for you. We'll hear from you in a little bit more than an hour when you take over at 7:00 for Sabres Blue Jackets tonight. Thanks for this, bud. And talk to Zach here and set up a time for tomorrow. We're pretty open. So if you want to do 5:30, we can book it right now. 5:30 tomorrow, if that works for you, is fine with me.
Yep. 5:30
right.
tomorrow is perfect. Let's set it in.
We'll have Nate on board for that too. Oh, Tee to Green, real quick. Give you a chance to promote that special 2-hour show this week.
Sure, thank you. Yes, 2 hours, 7 to 9. Myself, Kevin Sylvester, Jeff Meadis, PGA Pro, of course, will be at Pendleton Creek Golf Club, and a ton on the Masters. So we're looking forward to that. And maybe next week we'll actually have some golf here in West New York. Looks like Monday, Tuesday. We're in the 60s. So maybe Bulldog, set your alarm.
Yeah,
you can watch the finish of the Masters on Sunday, and maybe you can get your Delaware Park round in on Monday morning.
Right, sounds good. They don't open until noon on Monday, so that's.
There you go.
I need to tell you this. I chirped anyway, even though I wasn't tagged. I have 5 pair of golf shoes currently that are active, Brian. So when you're sending out pictures of the new Nike shoe to Sneaky Joe and Nate, as much as I've mocked Nate and Jeremy over the years for all the conversation about the clothes, you should see my closet. I've been hook, line, and sinker. I have 5 pair of golf shoes, so include me from now on. I'm in.
All right.
All right.
Yes, you're now officially tagged on the golf style tweets for sure.
Thank you. The green
those shoes were nice.
Yeah,
I love them.
I like them too.
Those Masters pink azaleas on the trim, and they look good.
Quite a few guys are wearing them today too. So all right, thanks for this, Brian. All right, we'll hear from you in a little while. Brian Koziel, Tee to Green on Saturday, 7 to 9, 2-hour show, Pendleton Creek Golf Club, and of course he'll be on at 7 when we get to Sabres Blue Jackets, which only comes if I stop talking and shut up. Be back after this on WGR.
More of Schopp and the Bulldog coming up, live from
Was I supposed to do something here besides just talk for a minute and then go to a break real quick? For some reason, I just had the brain. I got distracted. I'm reading Ryan Talbot from New York Upstate just posted something about Jalen Royal being set to visit the Bills next week, and our buddy Connor Rogers and Trevor Sikkema, both on a podcast, referred to him, or I think on One Bills Live. Maybe we just talked to Connor yesterday, day before, and. They call him the most underrated wide receiver in the draft. So, hey, that's cool. Maybe that's a guy you don't have to spend an early pick on, and you can kind of sit back and wait. And there's your guy. Plays outside, plays anywhere you want him. I like the sound of that a lot. Man, there was something I wanted to tell everybody. I just do not remember what it was now. Yeah, that'll happen. That's how it goes sometimes. All right, let's hit a break. I'll reset. You all can just, go about your business. I'm going to get it together in here. Paul Hamilton headed your way with me after this as we get ready for the Sabres and the Blue Jackets from Columbus. Game time a little bit after 7, which means pregame goes now. We'll get you Lindy Ruff's game day meeting with the media as well as an interview with winger Jason Zucker after this. Mike is out today along with Zach Jones. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR.
We know you WGR550.com.
Sabres game night tonight as they are in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. Pregame coming up next for a 7 p.m. puck drop. From morning skate today, still no Josh Norris or Jordan Greenway, and all signs are pointing to James Reimer getting yet another start in net. And if the Sabres do win tonight, it will give head coach Lindy Ruff 900 wins for his career. Our own Paul Hamilton has more on that with a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the start of the NFL draft, and Texas wide receiver and draft prospect this year, Isaiah Bond, reportedly turned himself into Frisco police this morning for a matter related to an outstanding warrant for sexual assault. He did post bond and was subsequently released. Bond also released a statement earlier this afternoon saying he is innocent and will be a full cooperation with authorities and will continue to be an active and willing participant in the investigation. For the Bisons, no game today, another postponement. The weather has not been kind to the Bisons in the early parts of this season. Today's game will be made up on Saturday with a single admission doubleheader. And the Masters are underway today from Augusta, Georgia. Justin Rose sits alone at the lead with 7 under par. He wrapped up his round just a few minutes ago. And do stay tuned, as on Saturday, we'll have a special 2-hour edition of Tee to Green for the Masters from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. from Pendleton Creek Golf Club. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Buffalo Sabres are on the air.
We're aggressive. We come out flying, honestly.
I'm always trying to find a way to get engaged. Typically for me, it's playing physical, finishing hits.
More than anything, I just want to be able to talk to the guys and let them know that I'm approachable and I can help them in any way.
I just want to play as much as I can. It's something that I feel like works. I feel like it's easier to kind of keep yourself kind of level.
The radio home of the Buffalo Sabres. This is the Buffalo Sabres pregame show from our flagship station in Buffalo. Here's your host, Schopp and the Bulldog.
9 out of 12 for James Reimer. There's Hugo Pekka-Luukkonen in the open for the pregame telling you he just wants to play a lot. What are we doing here? I don't even know anymore. Welcome inside tonight's Buffalo Sabres pregame show. Sorry for rant over. Professional pregame show host mode activated. I am the Bulldog. Mike has the day off today. Zach Jones alongside Paul Hamilton coming up here in a moment to preview tonight's Sabres game in Columbus against the Blue Jackets. Sabres come into this one tonight with a record of 35, 36, and 6. Sorry, the font on my computer sucks. I fixed it. It reverted. I don't know. Or I'm going blind. Anyway, so the Sabres have, good thing Mike's not here, a chance to get to 500. Whatever. Because he would tell you they're actually 35 and 42. If that is actually a 6, I'm pretty sure it's a 6. Yeah, they have 76 points. That makes sense. So, look, they're well out of last. They're not finishing last. They're out of the top 5 in the draft at this point. So, that's what it is. Columbus, tough back end of the season for them. They were maybe the best story in the league early in the year, overcoming the emotional loss of their superstar teammate and friend Johnny Gaudreau. They were in a playoff spot for a lot of the year, but they have really dropped off. They are 36, 35, and 7, 79 points. Still alive, but I mean, it's 8 points back here with 5 games to play going into tonight. So not looking very good for the Blue Jackets at this point. Sabres and Blue Jackets coming your way a little bit after 7. During this pregame show, we will get you interviews with winger Jason Zucker as well as head coach Lindy Ruff. Quick aside before we bring Paul in. No sooner did Brian Koziel, who'll take over for me at 7 o'clock, by the way, and be your host for the rest of the game night like is usual here. No sooner did we talk about how Rory McIlroy had played a mistake-free first round, and Brian even added the caveat, he's headed for the 15th, which is a par 5, and you got a good chance for a birdie, and I even said, hey, don't short him, maybe he'll eagle it. In the water, horrible recovery shot, double bogey. Thanks for coming. So he drops 2 strokes there. He goes from, well, the first page of the leaderboard anyway, at -4, down to a schmozzle of guys who are 2 under. Still a couple of holes to see if he can make up some ground there, but tough. Hit a shot in the water, and just that was the end of that for that hole anyway. All right, time for us to bring Paul Hamilton in here. Hi, Paul. How are you this evening?
Hey, Bulldog. Well, you're not wrong, because the NHL goes by points percentage, so they have a chance to get up to 500 on points percentage.
Okay,
you're actually not wrong. That's kind of the way they figure things. So that's why we never call it winning percentage anymore, because that's not really what it is.
Right.
It's points percentage. So we don't deal in winning percentage, but only in the NHL can we have these conversations.
Paul, quick aside here before we get to all the nuts and bolts hockey stuff. I'm sorry if you got deluged by Twitter notifications. You were front and center in a controversy's too strong, but Sal brought to my attention that when I tag you as one of our guests on the show coming up, it doesn't tag you. Like it's your Twitter handle, but it doesn't tag you. And I thought, man, that's weird. I had never really noticed that before. But sure enough, I go to the tweet previewing today's show, and Brian's in blue, Sal's in blue, and you're just there at your Twitter handle at PM. What is it, 1717? And like, that's weird. So Sal asks a good question. Where did you tweet from today? I said, well, actually today it was on my iPad. So let me see what happens if I do it from my desktop. I do it from my desktop and it works, like the computer in here in the studio that I use. And then I try to do it on both my iPad and my iPhone, and it wouldn't even send the tweets, Paul. People were saying, did you block me? What happened? I'm like, no, it still works on my desktop. It's got to be my devices are messed up. I don't know what's going on there, but that's weird.
I wondered if it was because after you do it, I usually leave the conversation. Because you usually ask a question, and you get like
that's it
500 answers.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, I'll just leave the conversation, and I won't get the 500 answers. So that might be it. I don't know. I'm guessing.
I think that's that's exactly what it is. I'll bet if you do that on any tweet, because I do that, I get dragged into stuff, and I'm just like, 3 days later, people are still debating something. I'm like, what do you, God, stop. And I'll bet that's what happens. That doesn't explain the devices. It must have just been.
No, it doesn't.
Something was weird there, because I did tweet earlier in the day from my iPad, that tweet, and it worked fine. So it must have just been temporarily something that was screwed up with my stuff here, but I think that's exactly what Paul, the oldest member of our staff, is there with the solution of what it was. That's absolutely got to be what it is.
Oldest member. Geez, I'm Jeremy White's age. What are you talking
about? Did Jeremy call Gretzky's record-breaking goal for NBC? I'm trying to remember now. I might have that confused with someone else.
It's possible.
All right. Well, Paul, you've provided a service to our audience. Maybe they can stop answering the questions now for me. Anyway, all right. So maybe most curious, and you wrote about this in your game preview article about how Lindy, and I heard him on Tuesday night sort of bristling when 900 wins was brought up to him. What do you make of how reluctant he seems to embrace, quite an achievement for him? I mean, it's not a record-breaking achievement, but it's a big, fat, round number of wins here that he's going to achieve, and he's on a very short list with some really, really legendary coaches.
Yeah, apparently it was brought up today too, and Lance said that he bristled again today. Just blew it off, kind of, and. It's interesting, too, because when he won his 600th game as a Sabre coach, he was very happy about it and talked about it. And, but talking about this, although we didn't talk about his 600 win as a Sabre coach until he actually got it. Maybe he didn't want to talk about it before.
Mm-hmm.
He got 900 because the next one would be 900. But, yeah, he wasn't mad at the person, Mike, who asked the question at all, but he didn't want to talk about it. And he just said, no, I don't care. I couldn't care less was his answer. And, he's been razor focused on how upset he is by the team. This team did not get to where it needed to be soon enough. It has really bothered him a lot because, as he said a couple of weeks ago, he's a fixer. And he didn't fix this in time, and he's not happy about it. And that's why I wasn't sure for a while when we talked about, will Lindy be back? I didn't know if he wanted to be, just with everything that we've talked about this year and how he's just not the same as he was when he first got here. But since then, when he said that it really bothers him that he wasn't able to fix this, and he's like obsessed with it now. I don't think there's any question in my mind now that he wants to be back. He said, with this, he goes, he's driven by the fact that he didn't get this team where he needed to get it soon enough, and he's driven by that.
I think
I think that's where he's at.
Yeah, I think those two things obviously are connected. I say obviously, maybe it's not obvious, but I think he doesn't want to sound like he's taking any kind of a victory lap or getting any kind of credit for a victory lap when it's a 14th straight season out of the playoffs, regardless of whether, most of it has happened with him not behind the bench. It's still, I think, maybe would feel inappropriate to him to be, go ahead, celebrate me for winning my 900th career game while the fan base has to sit in a puddle of despair with 14 straight non-playoff seasons. The timing's bad. I mean, they got eliminated on Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that makes that, to me, that, do you agree that makes all the sense in the world with why he doesn't want to?
Absolutely. Yeah. He wants to make this about the team and the team coming to play even though they're out of it. And the team learning how to play the right way all the time, where it becomes muscle memory. Where for this group for 2.5 years, muscle memory was panic. If something went wrong, panic set in because that's what they know. We better sit back. We don't want to make a mistake. But now he's got them a little bit out of that now. I mean, and there have been examples as we go along, and I get it. A lot of people say, no pressure's on. So, of course, they're playing better. And, all right, I can listen to that. And these are questions we really can't answer until we get to October, when we see – we better see different players, here on the ice in October. And where I think, players can go back to what this is and what they're doing now, watch these players now. They're enjoying playing hockey because – they're playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. And when they play the game the way it's supposed to be played, they're a pretty good team. And then they win hockey games, and they're beating good teams. And they're not flittering away 3-goal leads or 2-goal leads or they're winning those hockey games, and they're enjoying what they're doing because they're winning hockey games. They're happy for each other out there. When Thompson scored the hat trick, everybody was like going crazy for him, and Reimer, he gets the shutout, and they're all, they can't get there fast enough to congratulate him and that type of thing. So, those are the feelings they have to remember next October is what it's like to be actually show up to the rink and want to be there, and not after Christmas time like, we got to go here again? Are you kidding me? Where it's just this big cloud over this arena, and on a gray winter day, knowing you have no chance of being in the playoffs, and it's January 3rd. And, so that's what they have to remember next year is what it's like to feel like you're actually accomplishing something, and you're actually – because I said this, I did a thing for Channel 2 yesterday, and actually we talked for like 20 minutes. They kind of made a video podcast out of it. And, I will guarantee you if they start the year next year and play next year like they're playing now, they will make the playoffs. I guarantee it. They're good enough to make the playoffs if they play like this. It's a big if because you got to get good goaltending. You got to defend well. You got to score goals, which they're up to 7th in the league in goal scoring now. And in all these streaks we talk about in their last 12, leading scoring team in the NHL, winning 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 9, whichever it was. Again, they lead the league in scoring in that grouping also. They're 8-1, 8 of their last 9. And they scored 4.7 goals per game in those 9 games. So goal scoring's not a problem, but they're getting big saves, they're getting goaltending, and they're getting timely goals, and they're not panicking when something goes wrong, because something is going to go wrong in a hockey game. You got to figure that out. You can't panic because something went wrong.
It is pretty incredible that they are where they are overall goal scoring wise in the league, Paul, with the power play they've had for almost all of the year. I mean, if they had, I don't know, how much does 10 more power play goals, does that push their overall percentage to some unrealistic number? I don't know. But like to be that high up with a pretty putrid power play. Like how many here's another way to look at it. What does Thompson have this year power play goal wise?
I can tell
7.
you he leads the league in even strength goals.
He's got 7 power play goals. He had 20. Right when he had 47 2 years ago, so like him alone, like
if that power play was humming, he'd be up around 60 goals.
Yeah,
right now.
He could be leading the league in goal scoring, and oh my gosh, yeah, the whole thing could be vastly different. You know, I want to ask you about. We got a few things we got to do here before we part ways for a little while here. Let's get Eye on the Blue and Gold out of the way here. Brought to you by, I say out of the way, Great Lakes Building Systems. We keep an eye on your business so you don't have to. Great Lakes Building Systems, our business is protecting your business. I didn't mean get it out of the way, but I just wanted to make sure I did it. And I want to ask you about a player that I don't think you and I have talked about at all, Jacob Bernard Docker. How do you, because it took a little while for him to get to the lineup, and then I was gone on vacation, I think, when he finally did enter the lineup. And how's it going? Like, it seems like maybe that's going okay with Power, but I don't know. Are you worried that they're going to settle for that and say, like, okay, we're all set back there?
I was going to just say to you before you brought that up, and you kind of just led me into it. You know how Owen Power is a lightning rod for this fan base. Many of them despise him because he doesn't hit and he's big and the whole 9 yards. And then he'll stand in front of the net next to somebody, but he won't actually cover them. And there is an intense hatred for that kid in his town. I have not had a negative thing said about Owen Power on my line for probably 5 to 10 games.
Since Docker's been playing with him? Bernard Docker, I should say.
And really. And I thought that to myself. I go, he's been pretty good lately, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not getting into those jackpots he gets himself into. You don't notice him just standing around as somebody next to him scores a goal. He's there, but he doesn't do anything about it. You don't notice anything. And that's what I think about Bernard Docker. I think I would use the word solid. That's what he's been, is just solid. I don't think there's been one time where I said to myself, oh, what are you doing? And I've done that a lot with some of the defensemen on this team and some of the forwards. But, where they just make a play and you're like pounding your head on the desk going, what are you thinking? Type of thing. I haven't done that once yet with him. Where I watched the game and really thought, he's in a jackpot. Look out. But he doesn't make, like, the wow play either. Mm-hmm. He just is solid. He's very good at blocking shots, which this team, ever since they've kind of been there for each other type of attitude, I've noticed them doing things like that, being more diligent at blocking shots, or winning battles, or going to battle together on the wall to outnumber an opponent to win a battle, type of thing. And he, especially at blocking shots, that is one thing I've noticed with him. He's very good at it.
Let's get to our spotlight look at tonight's opponent, the Columbus Blue Jackets, which is brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. When it's game time, it's Tully time. I mentioned it at the outset here before I brought you in, Paul. One of the best stories in the league for most of the year, but it's kind of really gotten sideways on them lately.
Yeah, they've taken themselves out of contention. They got 1 win in 4, 2 wins in 6, and 4 wins in 14. That's kind of they were right there. Matter of fact, I think they were in the wild card spot for a bit, and I think they've just kind of taken themselves right out of contention there. And Merzlikins, a lot of people feel he's really not the answer in goal. This is going to be, he's played 5 straight games, 9 out of 10.
Something's up with him tonight. They recalled Jet Greaves.
Was it him or the backup that they had problem? I know they.
I saw like maybe a personal issue or something. I think Merzlikins is out tonight, so I'm guessing you'll see Tarasov tonight. But Greaves has been recalled on an emergency basis because Merzlikins had to leave the team for something.
But overall,
I know. I got you.
I don't think he's the answer. Just like the Sabres right now don't know what their answer in goal is going to be moving forward, and I just don't think Columbus, as they want to move forward, I don't think he's their answer either.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. You were making an overall point about him, not so much about tonight. I mean, they've gotten nice seasons out of – nice is putting it mildly. Werenski has 75 points, for God's sakes. He's almost point-per-game player back there on the blue line, 20 goals, 55 assists. Marchenko has really broken through. Ken Johnson's had a nice year. So and Fantilli's got 25 goals. Like they look promising. Even this Olivier, who's a monster tough guy, has got 18 goals. I remember making fun of the Sabres that he scored like a layup, very pretty highlight reel type goal against them, and I thought, like, come on, this guy's a pug. But he's got 18 goals. I guess I got to take some of that back.
18 goals with 134 minutes in penalties.
Right. He is a throwback, is what he is. All right, Paul. Thank you for this visit. We will look forward to chatting with you in about 20 minutes again as we get closer to puck drop.
Sounds good. Talk then.
That is our dude, Paul Hamilton, on the West Her Hotline. Sabres and Blue Jackets coming your way a little bit after 7 tonight. Normally, by now, we would be to the Lindy Ruff game day meeting with the media. We're going to bring you that on the other side of this break. It was a little scrambled. We also have an interview with Jason Zucker that Paul got for us coming up as we continue getting you ready for this game. Eventually, I will hand things off near the top of the hour to Brian Koziel, and he and Paul will take you through the rest of the night on intermissions and postgame. And, of course, Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray will have the call of all of the action of tonight's game, again, when we get there. But right now, a quick timeout. When we come back, you'll hear from the coach and Jason Zucker as we continue on tonight's Buffalo Sabres pregame show. I am the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR.